Good afternoon. My name is Ashish Kumar and I take polity governance here in VISION IAS. Polity governance is part of which paper? Means? Paper 2. Now before I start the session from my side, I want you people to contribute to the session. I want you to raise at least 4 doubts. 4 doubts which you want to clarify from me. 4 questions if you have in mind. How many of you are coming for the first time or preparing very fresh for civil services? Be honest and do not shy. सब पहली बार आ रहे हैं, no problem. Any 4 questions which you want to ask me regarding preparation before I start from my side? हाँ जी सर, any notion, anything which you want to clarify before I start? कोई सवाल? Medium of studies is English. Though particularly I can say about myself, I'll take the things in English first and I'll explain the same thing in Hindi also. Bilingually I try to. Translation, okay? So if you're from Hindi medium, you will not be having any problem, right? But I will not be using the Hindi terms, technical terms. हाँ जी.
So before reading Lakshman, we really have to study anything.
Okay. Any other question? Be frank, be fearless. बोलो.
सर लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ने के बाद में हम ये इंश्योर कर सकते हैं कि हाँ नेक्स्ट सिलेबस में
अच्छा हाँ वो तो मैं बताऊंगा आपको. हाँ जी. ओके. Last question. हाँ जी.
Same context of second question.
हाँ जी.
Is NCERT is enough for geography?
Geography छोड़ो. Political governance की बात करो.
Sorry.
I cannot say anything about geography. I can say, but I will not say. हाँ बोलो.
गवर्नेंस पार्ट न्यूज़पेपर से हो जाएगा.
Are you able to decipher the script? ये समझ में आ रही है चाइनीज? Four questions. I'll elaborate on these points. Let me take it one by one, right? First, should we read NCERT? Answer is big no. I'm talking about the people who are coming for coaching. I'm not talking about the people who are not coming for coaching, okay? If you are not coming for coaching, then you should read NCERT, okay? But then let me tell you one thing, if you have that kind of little bit background, for example, you have read all these things in your school also, so if you have a little bit memories of what you read in school regarding civics hota ho na, so you can avoid NCERT still. NCERT, the benefit is that language given in NCERT sometimes is very simple, but sometimes they are so brief that it does not make any sense reading NCERT, okay? And you can go through NCERT. It will be, according to me, it will be a waste of time, because you will not be in a position to answer the question which will come in examination. Mains to bilkul nahi. And in pre also you will be able to answer only very few questions. Okay sir, so NCERT, if you want, you can avoid NCERT. And do not feel like kind of dissonance, I have not read NCERT, God will punish me. ऐसा नहीं है. NCERT is not very fundamental, because what NCERT will give you, the same thing will be given in class in the form of class notes and Lakshmikant, in a more elaborate manner, in more explanatory manner, and keeping in mind exam. Because NCERTs are not made keeping in mind UPSC. They are made keeping in mind school students. And UPSC simply mentions that syllabus is up to this level, that level. They do not stick to it, let me tell you. They ask questions which are much above the school level, many a times. Okay? So, iska answer hai ye. About this, here also, answer is no, particularly for mains. Reason? There are many topics in Lakshmikant which are given in so confusing manner, it does not make any sense. You read citizenship, particularly the chapter of citizenship is not very clear. He has used all sorts of dates, this and that. That is not very clear also. Many places he has given so much of elaboration which rather than giving clarity confuses you. Okay. Third thing, Lakshmikant has also done many errors. So those errors can be problematic if not clarified. Okay, so इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ Lakshmikant is required but not enough. Okay, I'll elaborate on this later on. Are we required to study public administration? Again, answer is no. I cannot help it. The kind of question required this answer. ऐसा नहीं I am compulsory no to everything. अरे सुनो पहले. Fourth thing, is newspaper reading enough for governance? क्या करूँ? Okay, now I'll elaborate how to move ahead. Okay, हाँ सर बोलो आप क्या बोल रहे थे बोलो. हाँ. No problem. I'll explain. See. Let's take it one by one. How many questions are asked in pre-GS? 2 papers होते हैं ना, GS1, GS2, CSAT. कितने क्वेश्चन आते हैं GS1 में? There are 100 questions. Out of these 100 questions, how many questions come from polity part? About 10 questions, and it can even reach up to 20 questions. Okay, so polity has a weightage which varies from 10% to 20%. ठीक है ना? इतनी weightage आती है. It can vary. So you cannot skip it. Second, polity governance comes in GS paper 2. GS paper 2 can be, and let me tell you one more thing. GS paper 2, students are generally getting very less marks as what I have seen in the past 2-3 years. Okay, again I repeat, not because of me, because I'm not also in charge of this also. And I'll tell you the reason also why they are getting low mark. Because few people who have applied this principle, they have scored exceptionally good also. See, GS paper 2 is traditional topics, something which is called as governance. Apart from that, they ask question on welfare schemes and programs, and third thing which they focus on is international relations, including international organizations. ठीक है ना? Now, the weightage of this paper is 250 marks. 250 marks होते हैं. And how many questions come? 20. What is the weightage of traditional polity? About out of 250, how many questions come from traditional polity?
2200.
About 100 marks come from traditional polity topics. Traditional polity topics, for example, he can put a question on president. Is president a rubber stamp, or president is actually a powerful office? Example, okay? He can also put another question, governor. Should we actually abolish the office of governor? Because that can be used by center against state. Or what is the role of governor? Or is governor more powerful than president at the state level? इस तरह के क्वेश्चन. Okay, exam, traditional polity. For example, a question can come on uniform civil code. Question can come on the status of autonomy given to Jammu and Kashmir. Question can also come on the status of local self-government in special states, particularly northeastern states. For example, Nagaland. Questions can come on status of special states which are called as 5th scheduled states or called as 6th scheduled states. Now, do you know why I am discussing only these things? Because all these are the topics which are in current discussion. All these topics are repeatedly coming in news again and again and again. Something which is coming in news, you can consider that a kind of potential question in mains, for sure. I give an example. 2016, question came on Jammu Kashmir, its special status, temporary provisions regarding Kashmir. Question आया इसके ऊपर. Why it came? Why did question come on Jammu Kashmir? Anybody? भाई Jammu Kashmir question आया कि नहीं आया? Why did it come? For what reason it was in news? बोलो सर.
The new government had come. So
हाँ जी बोलो बोलो.
the new government had come, so they were planning to abolish it, but PDP.
ये तो सर पैलेटेंस का इस्तेमाल हुआ था ना, और मतलब ह्यूमन राइट्स के बारे में एक्चुअली
I'm asking you a simple question. Why did this question come on the autonomy? Special autonomy given to JNK. I hope you know that Kashmir has special autonomy. It is not like any other state. It has got special powers. ये question क्यों आया था एग्जाम में? At least you should know ना, the psyche of paper setter. Why did it come? Sir, the question came not because of pellet guns. Question came because, first of all, this government in power, it had the manifesto or it had its agenda that when we will come to power, we will remove the special status granted to Kashmir under Article 370. पहली बात. And the very big reason the question came in, this question came in exam was this. This was a judgment given by High Court, Jammu and Kashmir, that the temporary status given to Kashmir was actually not temporary. Now this was reversed by Supreme Court of India. Now such a big discussion took place on the special status of Kashmir, whether it is temporary or was it permanent. ये तो पूरा discussion आ रहा था. Judgments came of High Court as well as Supreme Court. So this came up as a question. इसके ऊपर आ गया question, and very few people could answer this. Reason I tell you, they just read what is Jammu Kashmir from Lakshmikant. That's it. They did not do homework on that. I'll come on the homework part also after some time. Okay. सिर्फ रट्टा तो लगा लिया. They just mugged up. What are the special autonomic features given to Kashmir? That is not being asked. He's asking why these features are temporary. So you should be knowing a historical background about the special provisions regarding Kashmir. That comes when you work on your own also. Anyways, another question came on the values which are mentioned in preamble. ये भी आया था ना मेंस के अंदर question. Now why did this question come in exam? Another 10 marker. Sir, copy खोलो. Why this question came? Tell me.
National debate was going on.
सेकुलरिज्म को लेकर के सर
बहुत बढ़िया. There was a debate coming up that we should remove the word secularism from preamble. I mean, because secularism was not initially added in the preamble. It was not the very initial part of the preamble. It was inserted in preamble later on. By which Amendment Act, sir? 42nd Amendment Act. Up when you know this thing, that issue is going on where government wants, not the whole government, at least some ministers, they said this, that this should be done. So this should have alerted you that potential question can come on preamble, and question came on preamble. And he exactly discussed the thing which was in discussion, the features of preamble or the values which are mentioned in preamble, because secularism was one of the value which was in storm. बन गया क्वेश्चन उसके ऊपर. Similarly, whatever issue is in news, certainly it can become a potential question for means. Right now, you should do what? This is an approach which I have seen it works for people. What you do is this. Right now I'm focusing on means. I'll take up pre also particularly. One thing which I want to tell you beforehand is this. Done? Should I rub it? One thing which I want to tell you is very, very important for polity and governance. Do not segregate prelims for mains. Do not specifically study for pre. Do not specifically study for mains. Take the preparation in a holistic manner. Because if what you study in pre will help you in mains, and if you prepare for mains, it will prepare for pre also. This is UPSC. This is not SSC, where they simply put you a factual question. They sometimes ask you to apply your mind also. And you can apply your mind when you are complete with your analysis. Or analysis is nothing but what we prepare for in mains. Okay. Now let me tell you the source first. For prelims, if you are coming in class, तब के लिए बोल रहा हूँ मैं आपको. Class notes, which I'll dictate you in the class, along with explanation of those notes. Because unless you explain, notes have no meaning. Okay. So whatever I'll tell you, I'll dictate you, and whatever I explain you, write down both the things. Okay. Because this will be the simplified version of what has been given in Lakshmikant and something much beyond what has not been given in Lakshmikant, but it comes in exam. Okay. So class notes along with only one book. You can very well avoid NCERT. Okay. This is enough for pre. For mains, same thing for mains. Now you can ask, if this is same, what extra we have to do? What extra you have to do is one thing which is common to both is this. Without current affairs, leave aside polity. No subject is complete, including art and culture. कुछ भी आप ले लो, current affairs से ही driven है. Current affairs, from what sources you will take current affairs? Do not run around each and every source which is available in market. एक तो let me tell you one more thing. Do not read 10 books once. Read one book 10 times. Every time you read the same thing, you will get a new insight. Even if you read a same note 100 times, 101st time you will feel that you have understood something which was not understood by you 100 times. Understood? So try reading the same thing again and again and again, rather than reading different things only once. Current affairs. Current affairs, the best source is newspaper. You can go for Hindu, or you can go for Indian Express. But I can see a change in the quality of Hindu, because I am reading Hindu for the last few years. So I can see the quality has deteriorated. Hindu is now not giving that kind of analysis which is required for exam. Indian Express, in fact, is giving much solid information, concrete information, and relevant information also. They are coming with a special edition which says explained. So explained takes up a particular concept which can be potential for mains as well as for interview as well as for pre. So ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, right? But then if you can afford both, afford मतलब from point of view of time, if you can afford both, one particular edition is now coming in Hindu which is called as Act 1, where they discuss one potential bill or one controversial bill जो आने वाला है or it has been brought. Okay, that comes, I think, as far as I remember, it comes on Friday. So go through it. Friday को आता है ना, go through it. That's it. So on Friday you can have Hindu, and that too for that Act 1 topic, right? After that, go for one monthly magazine. एक से ज़्यादा पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Go for only one monthly magazine which comes on mains. One monthly magazine can be any magazine. Though VISION IAS also provide magazine, and that is very well prepared also. There is a whole team which works on that, right? So you can depend on newspaper, monthly magazine if you want, because you will be provided this here in the class. VISION IAS की monthly magazine आप पढ़ सकते हो. Along with that, there is one important thing which you have to do is what? One thing is still remaining, current affairs में. Anybody? Sir? हाँ, reports देखो. Do not run after reports. Reports will be published in the monthly magazine. Reports will be coming in the paper also. Okay. Do not leave this. At least make a habit that you watch at least one debate daily. In fact, after some time, you will become so habitual of watching debates that you will not be able to live without it. Debate kind. And then for debate, which debate you have to follow? I feel that avoid debates which are too slow or which are too fast. Too slow matlab jaise ki I don't want to name any channel, but you can very well understand. Some channel, they take so much of time explaining very simple thing. And they take pauses and this and that. बहुत सरकारी तरीके से चलते हैं वो. Okay, you can avoid those debates. Particularly, I've seen Lok Sabha TV, Rajya Sabha TV. They take too much of time, right? And some channel, when you open the channel, they fight like anything. In fact, after those debate, rather than getting anything, you get anxiety. Okay, this is times now. So better you can go for a debate which is quite healthy, informative, as well as nominally paced also. Jैसे CNN, IBN and NDTV, they go at a relatively good pace, right? But let me tell you, any debate you go for, they will be little bit politically inclined. Some will be inclined towards one party, some will be inclined towards other party. You have to understand yourself that how balanced you can take the best of the debate. Let me tell you, when they are checking your copies, they are expecting people who are having a balanced approach towards administration, towards country. They do not want people who are anti-government. They do not want people who are blind towards every fallacy of governance. Okay, so you can watch debate, but with carefulness, that do not become inclined towards a particular political party after watching the debate, right? Itna kar lo. Same thing for pre, same thing for mains. Just strengthen this for mains. Strengthen the editorial part for mains. This is enough. You can, your classes will be starting from April 2017. Okay, and your next pre is about end of May or first week of June. So you have got 14 months. So for the first 12 months, you can have a very combined study for pre as well as for mains. In the last 2 months, you can sit specifically and take up the questions which have come in pre. आखिरी के 2 महीने में आप pre पे focus करो. But for the first 12 months, you take the preparation in a holistic manner. Pre plus mains. Because let me tell you, they are not different from each other. Which is a very much prevalent notion. कि मैं अभी pre के लिए पढ़ रहा हूँ. After pre, I'll take up mains. रुको सर, complete करने दो पहले. उसके बाद, one extra thing you have to do for mains is, you have to take up answer writing. Answer writing in for mains. Pick up previous year questions and now itself write anything which you can think on the topic. Unless you sit down and write, let me tell you, something to say is very easy. Something to explain is also very easy. But when you have to write that, the very same thing in limited words, it becomes very difficult. What to write, what not to write. So that comes with practice, and this practice for students with arts background, it is inherently there. But for the students of engineering background, I say, so engineers can do anything, but then still, students for science background, it takes some time to practice this art of answer writing. Practice this from the day one. Whatever you can write, whatever little you know, put that onto words and show it to some teacher or show it to the batch coordinators which are here. They will give you the feedback. Feedback will help you improve on the answer writing part. I myself seen so many people who were not that strong in content, but because they had a habit of writing answers, they developed such an art that whatever they were writing was meeting the demand of the question. The problem here is this: we read so much, and when he asks a question, we write everything about the question which is not even required. For example, he's asking about what are the temporary features of Jammu Kashmir. What we will write, all the features of Jammu Kashmir. He is not asking about the features of Jammu Kashmir or the autonomy of Jammu Kashmir. He is asking about the temporary aspect of those features. What this kind of understanding, what he is demanding and what we have to write, comes with practice. इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ, mains is not very much different. What you have prepared for pre, little bit extra topics of governance and answer writing. That is enough. Governance is not required for pre as such. Governance का मतलब क्या है? See, governance, for example, some topics like role of civil services, pressure groups, NGOs, civil society, e-governance. Okay, now all these things come mainly in mains. They are not much required in pre. By chance, if UPSC puts one question Now that is a very extreme, rare eventuality. We can prepare ourselves for most of the eventuality, not for all eventuality. And in fact, if we try to do that, that can be dangerous also. Okay? Do not be in a kind of panic that I have to cover 100 or 200% things. It cannot be done. UPSC syllabus is actually not that much well defined also. ठीक है ना? So this governance part mostly comes in mains, but still right now in the very first 2-3 months prepare it so that your burden before after pre comes down. अभी इसको तैयार करके रखो and then practice answer writing on this. ठीक है ना? Answer writing much required here, and what is more required here is practice previous year paper which have come in prelims of UPSC, and also practice the questions which will be given to you by VISION IAS test series. They are, as I said, they are having a full team which work on it. What best questions can be made, and the questions will also not be that easy to answer. It requires some kind of intellectual understanding, some kind of reasoning, and that comes with practice. So practice objective type questions for pre on daily basis. They will be giving you questions. Practice these questions and then practice answer writing. At least one answer every alternate days, at least 10 questions every day. Then the same source, current affairs. Nothing is required beyond this, let me tell you. इसके ऊपर कुछ आ नहीं सकता. And then what is this? You have to also guess what potential questions are there in the exam. And how are you going to guess that? You have to go through the paper regularly. Maintain a register where you dedicate 2 to 3 pages on every potential question, potential topic which is coming in exam. अभी आप देखो, president is in news. Why for? Presidential elections are due now. And also the way Pranab Mukherjee conducted himself has become an example for an activist president. I told this in the class also. Sometime back, a test was, exam was held for NDA as well as CDS. Now, a student who took this exam, he told me 4 questions came from president alone. Now, why they put 4 questions from president? Because president was a potential question. Identify the potential topics and focus more on them. I'm not saying leave others. Focus more on them. Maintain a register. On that register, dedicate 2 to 3 pages on every potential question, potential topic. For example, governor is in news for the reason in Arunachal, governor said, I will not resign myself, let the president remove me. So governor important ho gaya. And through the office of governor, emergency can be imposed. So emergency also become important. President is always important. Vice president also important. So office of profit also important. Money bill also important, because government just now passed UID bill. Now UID bill was declared a money bill, which should not have been a money bill as per the judgment of many people. Now this became a potential question. This is a potential question for pre as well as for mains. Getting me or not? For example, Abhi, I can ask you one more thing. Supreme Court said before movies you have to stand up for the national anthem. What potential question you feel can be made by this order of Supreme Court? Fundamental duties. Fundamental duties become a potential question. Sir, for pre or for mains? Both. He can, देखो अब इसी से क्वेश्चन बनेंगे for pre as well as for mains. He can ask you, he can give you a list of actions, and he can ask you which of these actions is not a fundamental duty. How many fundamental duties are there? 11. You have to mug up all the fundamental duties this time, at least. A very important area now. So if you are thorough with those language and the items in the fundamental duty, you can answer very well. Understand or not? And the same can become a potential question for means. For example, he will not ask you. I do not expect that he will ask you write all the fundamental duty. Though let me tell you, it can also happen. ऐसा हो भी सकता है. Once UPSC asks, write all the name of all the wetlands in India. Now, how many of you can actually remember the name of 25 sites which are in India? किसको याद होने वाली है? But sometimes they ask this, but mostly not. Okay, but when you have prepared fundamental duties, it will help you in pre, as well as if the same question comes in mains, You can answer that also. Agar if he is asking you write all the name of the fundamental duty, you write down, and if he puts you in a kind of question of analysis, you are prepared for that also if you have read paper very well. For example, he can put you a question, critically analyze the insertion of part 4A in the constitution. Critically analyze matlab you have to tell whether fundamental duties when added to constitution it made some sense or it did not. Getting me or not? So potential topic picked up from the order of Supreme Court. It can be used in pre as well as in mains. But do you feel that actually preparation is very different? You have to read fundamental duty from Lakshmikant or wherever, and the same thing can be used in kind of analysis. And how will you build the analysis? After exposing yourself to newspaper and to debate, because this actually came in debate. ये debate में आया था. Do not confuse yourself beyond a point. Let me repeat what I have told you till now. Just go for limited sources. Class notes Lakshmikant for pre, class notes Lakshmikant for mains. One thing common to both is current affairs. Current affairs may be newspaper, one debate daily, and monthly magazine. Last thing before I end, because my time is limited, maintain a register. When you maintain a register, dedicate 2 to 3 pages on every potential topic which is in news. As I said, emergency is in news, central state relation is in news, Sarkariya Commission is in news, Office of Profit is in news, Money Bill is in news, Governor Office is in news, President is in news, activism of President is in news. इस तरह से you make an index, and you should be having at least 30 or 35 topics before you appear for your mains. 35 topics इतने बड़े भी नहीं है. If you are just dedicating 2 pages on everything, then 35 topics means 70 pages. फायदा क्या होगा इससे? If you are, जैसे for example, let's say you read the monthly magazine, they have given you something on Arunachal. You understood 70% of it, because see, if I am making some notes, you may understand 70%, you may not understand 100%, because I have written the notes by my own understanding, and your understanding may not be up to my level as of now. So what you do is this: go through the magazine, go home, open Google, do little bit of homework on the issue, dedicate 15 minutes on that topic. Arunachal ko dalo on Google and see what is the status of Arunachal. Why this issue is in news? What are the other ifs and buts of this issue? Has this issue come up previously also, or is it a recent issue? So उस पे एक पूरा, you just prepare a whole holistic work on the issue of Arunachal. Clear? Am I clear or not? So this way you use the register. और एक बात और, when you have these topics prepared, it will not be easy to forget those things. If I give you a magazine, you read it, you will surely forget. Or if you even remember, you will remember 80% part of it, or even possibly even 50% part of it. 50% will be only vague. When you write that thing by your own hand, it gets deeper into your memory, and then it is easy to recall also. When you have questions coming from those list of in the register, it will be easy to recall everything. अब आपसे मैं पूछ लूँ, can you highlight the areas where Supreme Court has practiced judicial activism? Recent past? Or the fight between judiciary and executive? Can you give me the instances? NJC और कुछ?
Memorandum of understanding.
देखो अब होता क्या है, if you are 100 people here, obviously together you can answer this, but individually if you have to answer, you will be able to recall only 1 point, 2 point or maximum 3 points. बाकी याद ही नहीं आएंगे, because what you have learned. अब आप ऐसे देखो इसको, let's say we have given you some material on president in the magazine of September, something was again given to you on president in November, something again come in February. Now topic is president, but it is scattered in different magazines. Now if you pick up these things and you write them in one place, it will be easy for you to recall everything regarding president. Now whatever question he puts regarding president, you can answer, because all the information is available at one place. How exactly Supreme Court has come in confrontation with executive, write down at one place. Whether it can be called as activism or is it adventurism, write at one place. Prepare your own register. This is what I want to say. Okay, and then practicing question is the key. कितना भी पढ़ लो, no matter how much hard you study, unless you practice question, you will not be able to, because UPSC gives what? UPSC will give you a statement and they will give you 5 or 6 options also nowadays. All will be appearing to be correct or all will appear to be incorrect. You have to choose the best. Understand? Before I leave, I just give you a question and let me check you whether you can actually. I hope you know when Panchayati Raj institutions were formed, they have got some sources of collection of taxes. They have got their own revenue sources also. है ना? And when people at Panchayat, they do not perform well, they can be removed in the next election. मतलब politicians are accountable also through Panchayat or not? ये पता है आपको? What could be the answer? In a way, all are correct.
Second one.
Hanji sir, what is the answer?
Sir, second one.
Second.
First participation.
1 and 2.
First.
Sir, second.
You can have both. Okay. Let me tell you. Both the options, first and second, are correct. But many people, ये question exam का है, this question has come in UPSC. But when this question came, there were so many people who marked this and this also. As he said, all are correct because it appears to be correct. Financial mobilization does take place because of Panchayat. Politicians are held accountable by Panchayat. But then, have you read the question properly? Question में क्या बोल रहा है वो? What is the fundamental object? Means what was the particular basic principle because of which Panchayati Raj institution was brought? Panchayats were not created to generate money. In fact, Panchayats have to actually be given money by state. उसको तो और पैसा देना पड़ता है. And to bring political accountability was also not the main reason. Main reason ये था, we wanted to involve people in the development process, or we wanted to give a power to at the lower level also below under state. So answer first or 2. Second, third are true, but this does not match the demand of the question. Demand क्या है? Fundamental purpose of bringing Panchayati Raj institution. Or if I put you a question, directive principles of state policy are enforceable by law. No. Answer है yes. You agree with this or not? हाँ जी yes है ना? No. Sir answer yes इसलिए है, मैंने क्या लिखा? Did you read the question? I said DPSPs are enforceable by law. मतलब you can make a law to enforce a DPSP. By themselves they are not enforceable. यही तो है. When you take up a question in pre, you have to read the very language. I can put the same question wherever the answer will be no. DPSPs are enforceable in court. Answer is okay. So in pre, reading the language of the question is very important, and then if you are clear on concepts, then only you can answer it. Understand? So answering pre is also not that easy. It comes with practice. This is what I wanted to explain with example. Sir, बोलो आप क्या बोल रहे थे? I just give you 2 minutes because my time, I'm running short of time. हाँ जी.
लोकसभा और ये ऑल इंडिया रेडियो में जो आता है.
हाँ जी. See, you can go through Lok Sabha and All India Radio debate also, but VISION IAS website also, they give you some links, okay, which are very good for undergoing the debate part. But I think Lok Sabha, this and that, rather than going through all these things, take up one debate and go it daily. Source मैंने आपको बोला ना, you can go through NDTV, CNN, IBN. If you go through Lok Sabha TV, then also no problem. But some people, when they come, some panelists, they are so slow, they take 2 hours and they give you something which is worth 10 minutes. So you have to be, use your discretion. ठीक है?
Instead of making physical notes, can you make e-notes of current affairs?
Sir, you can make e-notes of current affairs, but the problem is that there you have to write with pen. So when you're writing by yourself now also, it will help you develop a kind of tendency towards answer writing there. E-notes, medium is different, na?
But it would be easy to sum up, like president news is on.
To sum up, you leave 3 pages on president. If something is coming new, keep on adding, na? So it will be summary at one place. E-notes, I don't prefer. You can have your own ease. सर इंडियन एक्सप्रेस पूरा पेपर पढ़ना है, उसमें भी क्या इंपॉर्टेंट बताऊं आपको. बट येस, डू नॉट रीड द थिंग्स लाइक समबडी स्टोल समबडीज बाइक. इसको क्या पढ़ना है, बाकी पढ़ो पूरा. दिस वाज कंप्लीट फ्रॉम माय साइड. योजना कुरुक्षेत्र, you can, if you have time, though again magazine they will be adding these things also, but if you have time, buy Yojana Kurukshetra and read the most important part of it. For example, if they have given up some particular government scheme and they have given an analysis of the scheme, why this scheme is not working, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, why it is not working, they will give you this kind of analysis. Go through with that from Yojana. Do not read the whole Yojana Kurukshetra. 1 or 2 topics only are good, otherwise, हाँ बोलो. Option can be anything, sir, depending on your option. बताइए. PRS, do not go through PRS. This is what I can say. If something, because Google में वैसे आ ही जाएगा. If you are not getting something clear from, बात ये है, देखो, I am telling you, use your energy and time in a judicious way. If you start reading PRS, Subhash Chandra, DD Basu, then you will not be able to focus on the requirement of the exam. Let the teacher read those things and he will convey it to you. And if you are not taking coaching, then you can go for it. हाँ जी sir.
Sir, current affairs duration for next year.
At least 1 year. If you are appearing for next year exam, which may take place May last week or June first week, then from this May to that April, करना ही पड़ेगा आपको. This is bare minimum. Sometime they, but that is a rarity, right? IR, sir, there is a different teacher. They will take on IR, right?
So what's the use of ARC reports?
ARC, I will be incorporating myself. So don't worry about ARC also. Reports do not take up, they will take much of your time. ठीक है? This is enough. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, what we'll be talking about primarily is the whole aspect of modern Indian history, world history, and culture. Okay. Now, how many of you watch cricket? Right? A good number of you. How many of you love watching test matches? Okay. See, this is especially for people who like watching test matches and people who don't, both for them, but more so for who like watching test matches. UPSC preparation should not be a test match. Okay. It cannot be a T20, but it should not become a test match also. Right? It has to be somewhere like a Monday. And that is why you are here, right? You just have roughly around a year or more to prepare. You should not go either ways. You know, this is roughly the amount of time that you require if you want to prepare seriously in the first attempt itself. If you start preparing, say, from December onwards, you've caught up with the bus a bit too late. Or if you are thinking that this is the first year, अभी तो पहली बार पिच पे उतरे हैं, एक बार खेल के देखते हैं, you know, let's get the feel of the pitch. Second innings में अच्छा खेलेंगे. Okay, so second innings approach भी रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Okay. Why I'm particularly saying so, before we actually get into it, and we'll talk about how, you know, our focus in the next 30-40 minutes or so would not just be to look at, you know, what to read, how to read, but according to me, a bigger issue to solve is not what to read or how to read, but also to know how do you plan yourself for the 1 year. See, what normally happens is when you're attempting the exam for the very first time, you get a feel of the exam, okay? Your first often pit stop focus is कि prelims हो जाए यार. ओके अभी प्रीलिम्स हो जाए, अभी अपन पहले प्रीलिम्स में फोकस करते हैं, प्रीलिम्स के बाद मेंस पे अच्छे से फोकस करेंगे और मेंस का फील लेते हैं इस बार, अगली बार मेंस अच्छे से लिखेंगे. ओके, सो दिस इज व्हाट शुड नॉट हैपन. योर प्रिपरेशन फॉर यूपीएससी स्पेशली शुड बी फोकस्ड राइट फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ऑनवर्ड्स, geared towards the mains examination, but at the same point of time understanding that the prelims examination requires a different skill set. There is a reason why you see year after year, you will see often in the top 20 or 20, 15, 20 ranks, there will be a number of people who just barely cleared the prelims. Okay? कि अगर कट ऑफ 108 थी तो उनकी 109 ही आई, लेकिन मेंस में दे स्कोरिंग 20 रैंक, 15 रैंक, सेकंड रैंक, फर्स्ट रैंक. ऐसे बहुत एग्जाम्पल हैं if you see in the past 4 or 5 years. That's primarily because the prelims requires a relatively different skill set. Mains में अलग aspect चाहिए. So we'll talk about that. But what you need to be doing for the coming year is to prepare in an integrated manner. It should not happen that you're preparing for the prelims and then you start preparing for the mains. You should prepare for the mains and in the meantime keep focusing upon things which are important for the prelims. Let me start with one particular example. I'll talk about modern Indian history first. Briefly, I'll talk about culture. And then I'll talk about world history as well. I'll also talk to you about the significance of all these sections as well. But let me just give you one example of how the requirements are different for both the examinations, the prelims and the mains, and how your preparation should, start in an integrated manner from the time you start preparing. For example, all of you read modern Indian history, right? And everybody reads the NCRT on it, at least a Bipin Chandra, NCRT Bipin Chandra, everybody reads or somebody tells you to read that. So for example, let me just give you an example of a question that came in the examination, in the prelims examination of 2016 this year. And that was a very simple question on what was the reason for the Surat split of the Congress of 1907. That is what the question was all about. Why the Surat split happened, and there were 4 options. You just had to pick up one. Okay, so this is a kind of a prelims related question. But the same topic in a mains related question can be about the significance and the long-term impact of the Surat split. So here somebody is just asking you why something happened, but here they're asking you to compare, assess and write a comparative answer. So here they're asking you to compare and basically also talk about the long-term significance of the Surat split. Okay, so for example, these are the kind of questions you will see time and again coming up. So in the prelims, the focus of your examination, the focus of your preparation has to know about the certain key facts. But in the mains, you should know about the reasons for them, the impact of them and comparing them. For example, in your mains examination today, there are a number of questions which are asking you to compare pre-independence history with post-independence history, Indian history, modern Indian history with world history. So what I'm basically trying to arrive at here is the different set of skills you require, and we'll talk about them. Now, in the prelims examination, if you see, totally, including modern Indian history, culture, ancient history itself, these are the 3 things which come in the prelims examination. Modern Indian history, medieval Indian history, art and culture, and ancient history. They all together roughly constitute some 15 to 16 questions out of 100 questions, okay? Then, if you break them down even further, out of these 15, 16 questions, you will find in your prelims examination, roughly 8. So if you see in your prelims examination, out of the total 16 questions from all the section, roughly 8 to 10, you will find from modern Indian history and partly also from medieval Indian history. We saw in the last 2 years, there have been some questions from medieval Indian history as well. And the rest, roughly 6 or so questions, is rough. This is a rough breakage where you will find questions related from art and culture. Okay, this is about the prelims examination. Now, the beauty of the prelims examination is that what is the average cutoff if you see for the past 4 years? This is somewhere between 106 to 114. This is the rough range for the past 4 years. When I talk about, why do I say only past 4 years? Because since then, when is the pattern has changed, right? So when you see at the past 4 years, this is roughly relatively the cutoff. When you see in your prelims, and prelims is a very unpredictable exam. My point of assertion is not this, that the prelims is an easy exam and the mains is a difficult exam. No, both of them are unique in their own ways. So if you see, you need to get 52 out of 100 right. If you want to, I'm saying, if you say at the lower end 104, 105, if you consider as the cutoff, you need to get a total of net 52 questions. If you say at the higher level, you can say roughly 56, 58 questions right, out of 100. Now, in this section, if you look at the whole prelims paper, the modern Indian history, geography, polity, economy, these are what we also call as, ecology to an extent. These are areas which we call as more static areas. Okay, and these are areas which do not change. मतलब आज आप, if you give the exam this year or next year or next to next year, they're not going to change, right? Your first focus, and that is why I'm saying in history, your first focus in history has to prepare these areas rock solid. So whether it is paper 2 and paper 3 in the mains examination, in the mains examination there are 4 papers, right? In paper 2 and 3 in the mains examination, you will find these are relatively more dynamic papers, current issues, current bills, laws, ये सब पे related questions आते हैं. But when you see paper 1 in the mains examination has history, geography, social issues, right? All of this is static portion. Once you have done this properly, means you can focus on paper 2 and 3 later. Meaning, what I'm trying to say is, suppose you start your preparation today or in the coming month. You're focusing on paper 4 is ethics. Okay, ethics में भी कुछ change नहीं होता है. Right? There may be new case studies which may come, but that's all, right? So when you look at paper 1 and 4 in the past 4 years, and you look at the marks that students have got who have cracked the exam, you will see paper 1 and 4, the average scoring has been much higher than paper 2 and 3. So our average score on paper 1 and 4 has been higher. Why? Primarily because these are static areas, इसमें कुछ नहीं बदलना है. So आपका focus, your first aim should be to consolidate on these areas, leaving the time between your prelims and mains to focus in GS on paper 2 and 3 and on your optional. और पेपर 1 और 4 आपका solid तरीके से तैयार रहेगा. पेपर 2 and 3 we say are relatively more challenging, but paper 1 and 4 are relatively more easier. Now when we look at history, let's look at the mains thing for a minute. I'll talk to you about certain important topics also that we'll cover and we should be covering and one is expected to cover. But before that, let's look a bit about at the mains examination question paper distribution. Now paper 1 has a total of 250 marks, right? If you see the number of questions that are asked, and this in the mains examination has a different course. In the mains examination, there's world history also and there is post-independence history also. Okay, so from total of a modern Indian history, world history, post-independence history, total maximum if you include them together, okay, what do you get? How many questions do you get? Out of a total of 20 questions, you will get roughly in the range of 6 questions. Okay, around 6-ish, 7-ish, that's all that you will get. Now these are just 6 questions where you have to study 3 different aspects of history. How rewarding is it? Once you see, देखिए बच्चे क्या होता है कि सर मैं इसके लिए कौन सी बुक पढूं, इसके लिए कौन सी बुक पढूं, इसके लिए कौन सी बुक पढूं. 6 क्वेश्चन के लिए अगर if I am just telling you one book each to read, you're reading 3 books, right? So for covering 6 questions, you have to put in a lot of time and effort, something that is not very rewarding. देखिए UPSC preparation is not about knowing which books to read. It's about knowing what not to read. It's about knowing कि okay, these are the areas that I don't need to read a full book for. These are the areas I should be able to do it with my class notes or supplementing them with something online and minimizing the time required to get the maximum output. Because you have a, देखिए क्या होता है जब हम normally मैं यहाँ खड़ा हूँ मैं आपको बोल दूंगा कि आप ये बुक पर से यहाँ से ये पढ़ लीजिएगा, यहाँ से ये पढ़ लीजिएगा. 4 more teachers will come, they'll tell you 4 more things. You'll go home, you have a whole list of books, right? आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर की जगह बुक कलेक्टर बन जाएंगे ना, मतलब आपके पास बहुत सारी किताबें हैं, इसमें से ये पढ़ेंगे. दैट इज नॉट फीजिबल. सो द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू नो अबाउट यूपीएससी प्रेप एंड द हिस्ट्री सेक्शन इन जनरल बट अप्लाइज टू एवरीथिंग इज दैट इफ यू रीड समथिंग वंस and you think you will go to the exam reading something once, don't read it. If till you are not sure that you can read something thrice before going in the exam, don't read it. You just have 8 minutes to write an answer. You have to write that answer in 250 to 300 words. You cannot do this unless or until you have read that topic thrice. Okay, so reading again and again the same thing is very important. Now reading again and again का भी मतलब ये नहीं है कि आपने एक बार NCERT से पढ़ा, एक बार आपने क्लास नोट से पढ़ा, एक बार आपने बिपिन चंद्रा की कोई और बुक से पढ़ा. Reading the same thing thrice should be from the same source. Okay. Now, more than to, I'll talk to you about the books. That's a very peripheral issue. It will take just 2 minutes. At the end of the lecture, I'll tell you about the books for all the topics. But what I want you to focus upon is something that I say is your own summary. Something that you should make for yourself. Dekhiye, what we suggest to people for paper 1 and 4, and I also suggest that for 2 and 3, but even if you can't do it for 2 and 3, for 1 and 4 at least, आपके पास history में you should know 50 subtopics. Okay, that these are 50 subtopics. I should have my own summary on these 50 subtopics that I will revise one day before the exam. One day before the mains examination, before paper 1, you will have paper 1 and 2 on the same day, 3 and 4 on the same day, right? So 1 and 2 के पहले आपको एक दिन पूरी history भी पढ़नी है, geography भी पढ़नी है, social issues भी पढ़ना है, polity भी पढ़ना है, IR भी पढ़ना है, right? How do you revise that? And people who think that revision at the last few weeks doesn't matter, they are very foolish. The last few revisions matter a lot. So your preparation today should be geared to achieve that product later. मतलब क्या कि आपने एक NCERT उठाई बिपिन चंद्रा की, तो ये नहीं कि आपने चैप्टर पढ़ लिया, चैप्टर आपने मार्क कर दिया, अच्छा ये इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, ये हाँ मैंने पढ़ लिया और मैंने किताब पढ़ के उसको रख दिया. Now if I tell you to revise that, you're going to start from the front and till the end, and you will take maybe a couple of days to finish it. That is what should not happen. You should not be revising books, you should be revising your own summaries, and this is what people who know, देखिए क्या होता है जब आदमी तीसरी बार तक प्रिपेयर करने जाता है ना, जिसका सेकंड अटेम्प्ट चल रहा होता है या थर्ड अटेम्प्ट चल रहा होता है, they now know okay that this is the only thing that I need to focus upon. अगर मेरे को 1905 से 1915 तक पढ़ना है तो okay, what are the things that I need to focus upon? I need to focus upon the partition of Bengal, I need to focus upon the Surat split of the Congress, and I need to focus upon revolutionary terrorism or militant nationalism during the phase of Bengali nationalism. That's it. तो ये चीजें कैसे पता चलती हैं? ये चीजें आपको तब पता चलेंगी, इसका related aspect क्या है? That before you start reading any topic, you look at the past 4 years question papers. You see what is the pattern of things which is being asked, and I'll talk to you about the pattern in a minute. But you should be seeing that. Now when I say कि कैसे आप उसको याद रखें, कैसे उसको पढ़ें, this was the question. This was roughly the question that came in your mains examination this year, 2016, that about the war of 1857, how does it constitute a watershed, what is its significance? अब बच्चे क्या करते हैं कि war of 1857 के बारे में पढ़ना चालू करते हैं कि पूरा चैप्टर दिया है, आपने पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ लिया, आपने उसको अंडरलाइन करके रख दिया. But this is what you should not be doing. Rather, what you should be doing is that if the question, for example, this is a question that has come in your prelims examination before, which of the following was a consequence of the war of 1857? There were 4 statements, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, all of the above. Okay. Now when students read it in a form of a paragraph, they read it in a form of a story, underline it and forget it. कि मैं अगली बार पढ़ूंगा तो मैं देख लूंगा and I will recall. No, your understanding should be to make something like this. And keep it. If you have 50 topics of history, okay, and you have prepared your small mini notes, as I call them, on your own, okay, then you can revise them very fast. It will take you 3 hours to revise the whole of modern Indian history in a format that is useful for both the mains and the prelims. Okay, so in the sense, for example, when I talk to you about the war of 1857 and the consequences of the war of 1857, one of the first things that we all read about, even if you haven't, is that the rule of the East India Company ended and it became a British government-owned company, right? So that was one of the important consequences. There was a change in the army that's called the Europeanization of army. The British realized that they needed to increase the intake of Europeans within the British Indian army, and so they increased the intake of Britishers. They also brought in other aspects with reference to the army. Also the policy with reference to the princely states underwent a change and the policy of annexation was dropped. Okay, and finally, with reference to social reforms, the British stopped bringing in any new legislative measures to bring in social reforms. So if I'm supposed to write an answer on the consequences of the war of 1857, I don't need to build a story. I know these are the 4 or 5 main points. I have them. I write them in a point-wise manner. That is only how I can write an answer in 8 minutes. So when you are reading for the first time itself, your focus should be to prepare notes in a manner that are useful for the third time. To prepare notes in a manner that you can write that down in 8 minutes. Otherwise, it's useless. Otherwise, it's a test match. You get on the field, the first day तो you're taking the field, अभी तो चल रहा है, second day पे you start playing. Okay, that's not something that should happen. Okay, so that is what I particularly mean. Let me give you another example about, this is also an aspect that has been included in the mains examination syllabus recently, since the syllabus has changed, and that is the period also from 1700 to 1857. Earlier that was not included in the syllabus of the mains examination, but now has been included, the period since the fall of the Mughal Empire. Now when people talk about the fall of the Mughal Empire, they will read another chapter on it. But my point is that if you can just write down the 5 points, and you can later elaborate on them in the answer, that is where you have actually understood not just the subject, but also have understood it according to the needs of the exam. You're not here to become the next historian of the day, right? किताब तो नहीं लिखने वाला है मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री पे ये पढ़ने के बाद. So your aim should be actually to prepare in this particular fashion. That Aurangzeb expansionist policies were a major reason why the wars became too expensive in the Deccan and were a reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire. The other was the crisis in the land revenue administration system, that was the Jagirdari crisis. The third reason was also understood as the religious policies of Aurangzeb, which did alienate a section of the population, especially with reference to the imposition of jizya. The fourth reason is the weakening of the military might of the Mughals because of the absence of introduction of military reforms. The fourth was no fresh technological inputs, and also the last reason was the decline of agriculture and the recurrent peasant revolts. अगर आपको ये पता है तो आपको आंसर पता है, कहानी पता होने से कोई रेलेवेंस नहीं है. Now, the why I'm saying so is, let's look at these important topics for modern Indian history. These are the important topics जो आपके मेंस और प्रीलिम्स. मैं इसमें ये जो लिस्ट है, दिस इज प्राइमरीली फ्रॉम द मेंस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. फ्रॉम द प्रीलिम्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू मैं आपको एक सबसेट बता दे रहा हूं जो आपको पता होना चाहिए. देखिए, दिस इज अ लिस्ट. आई थिंक द पीपीटी वुड बी देयर, यू नो, अपलोडेड ऑल्सो, इज माई प्रजम्पशन. सो दैट इज दैट. सो व्हाट आई जस्ट वांट यू टू फोकस अपॉन इज व्हाट इज समथिंग दैट आई एम फोकसिंग हियर ऑन. Causes of the decline of Mughals, causes of the decline of the Marathas, the significance, okay? Then the war of 1857 and its significance, the significance of Gandhian experiences in South Africa. What I'm trying to hint out at again and again is that causes, significance and impact. This is something that is important from the mains point of view. From the prelims point of view, what you need to know is, for example, from the prelims point of view, for example, what you need to know is for example, when you talk about is a certain number of key topics that I'm telling you. And this is something from 1857 onwards, the causes for the war of 1857 onwards. This is something that you need to know when you look at socio-religious reforms. This is something that is pretty important from the prelims examination point of view. Okay, so you will find almost every year there would be one question from one of the important social or socio-religious reformers in this particular period. So from Dayanand Saraswati to Raman Roy, Vivekanand, the whole list. Okay, so that is something that is an important topic. The next important topic is the Congress and the moderate extremist divide within the Congress. Then is the Surat split of the Congress and the partition of Bengal. और इसके बाद एक जो प्रीलिम्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो मेंस में नहीं आती है, and that is again and again about the whole series of reforms that have come, that the British constitutional reforms that the British introduced. For example, in prelims this is a very high yield topic जो often mains में नहीं आता है, and that is about the whole series of reforms, the Council Act of 1861, the Council Act of 1892, the Morley-Minto reforms of 1909, the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919, the Government of India Act 1935. The unique characteristics of all of these things is what you need to know. You don't need to know the facts. When I say facts, you don't need to know the dates, you don't need to know the names, you don't need to know the year. वो prelims में कोई नहीं पूछता यार, वो सब 10 साल पहले पूछा जाता था कि कब आया, कब ये रिफॉर्म हुआ. The dates, the names are not important. What happened is important. So nobody asks you today in the prelims examination that the Rowlatt Act was introduced in which year. The question in your prelims examination was, what was the Rowlatt Act about? Okay, this is the question in your prelims examination. Nobody asks you a question that who introduced the Ilbert Bill. The question in your prelims examination was, what was the Ilbert Bill controversy about? Okay, so you should know what not to focus upon. For the prelims examination, neither for your prelims or nor for your mains, you do not need to focus upon names, dates of people, okay, unless and until they're very important, and they're very few which you need to remember. Apart from that, you need to look at these things in a comparative fashion. How was the reforms of 1861 different from 1892? What was introduced for the first time in 1892? What was introduced for the first time in 1909, in 1919, in 1935? That's something that you need to know. Okay, that's one thing from the prelims point of view, that's unique. Another thing from the prelims point of view from modern Indian history that is unique is when you look at these whole Congress sessions. ये सारे Congress sessions में क्या क्या हुआ? Nobody is going to ask you which Congress session was headed or chaired by which individual. ये question prelims में नहीं आता है. आपसे ये पूछा जाएगा कि what was the significance of the 1906 session of the Congress or which of the following things happened in the 1906 session of the Congress. ये prelims में question आया हुआ है. बार बार ये question आया हुआ है आपके prelims में about the 1929 Lahore session of the Congress. Okay. Also, so then, for example, then there is the Karachi session of the Congress. Okay. So all of these sessions of the Congress are also important. Now, this is also something there, but also the last thing that is important from the prelims examination point of view, which does not come in the mains examination often, is the whole series of governmental committees that came from the time of August offer. Of 1940. देखिए 1940 से 1946 का जो पीरियड है उसमें जो गवर्नमेंट कमिटीज आई हैं, दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम योर प्रीलिम्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. सो फॉर एग्जांपल देयर वाज द ऑगस्ट ऑफर, देन देयर वाज द क्रिप्स मिशन, देन देयर वाज द क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट. यू कैन नॉट बिलीव आपके प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन में this is also a question that came in 2014, that the quit India movement happened because of the failure of what? The August offer, the Cripps offer, the Wavell plan, or the cabinet mission plan. And the answer was the Cripps mission. Okay. So, and to understand all of this, you also need to know what were the unique things or what was the government proposals given in all of them. And for this, I also say that you should use what we say in history is a timeline approach to study. You should see, okay, you should make your own timeline that, you know, and that is what we do in class itself, is to make certain timelines for all the periods. So for 1700 to 1750, I'll make you a timeline, putting down all the important events and the important things which have happened. Or from 1940 to 46, we'll make a timeline, and that is something that will put towards all the important events that have happened in a particular period. So this is how you need to focus upon. Your aim is not just to know कि वो इसमें क्या हुआ और इसमें क्या हुआ. You need to know how is the August offer different from the Cripps mission. Okay, that's your focus. Now, that's all about modern Indian history. Let me just talk to you a bit more about. Let's first talk about. There are more topics which are given here. Okay, और आपके मेंस के लिए एक जो टॉपिक बार बार जिससे क्वेश्चन आता है. Okay, this was a topic that we gave in the test series also this year, and this was a direct question that came in the mains examination also this year. That of comparing Bose and Gandhi. Okay, so comparing Gandhi and Ambedkar, this is also a question that has come before in the mains examination, and this is also a very high yield area. So ये comparisons भी mains में बड़े आते हैं. Okay, तो mains में इस तरीके के questions आजकल ये लोग और पूछ रहे हैं, that they are asking you to focus upon what would have happened if Gandhi would not have been there. What would have happened if Ambedkar would not have been there? What could the partition have been averted? Was the partition inevitable or not? This is the understanding that you require for the mains examination. The problem is that even for answering these questions, you cannot answer them with knowing only some aspects of history. You have to understand the whole thing in its continuity. Meaning, आपको एक आंसर अगर वो 1940s के बारे में भी पूछ रहा है, आपको 1900s के बारे में भी पता होना चाहिए कि क्या हुआ था. Then only you can build a answer. Okay, so that is there. Now let's talk a bit about culture. देखिए culture के साथ दिक्कत ये है कि बच्चों को लगता है कि culture तो बहुत ही boring है ना. और कल्चर के लिए what they'll start doing is अब 2 months before the prelims examination they will pick up एक कल्चर की बुक और अब भाई हो जाओ चालू. Okay, so this is the problem, and this is not the way you should approach culture. The first thing to do for culture, I strongly recommend, is to use the NCERT 11th class for culture. Okay, this is one book that you cannot do without. Okay, so NCERT 11th class, Art and Culture, that is something that you need to read. One of the unique things why I say that book is amazingly good as compared to any other book is that it has a completely pictographic approach. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो rock cut architecture में these are the features and you start memorizing those features. No. Huh? There's only one Art and Culture, NCERT 11th class. There's only no old and new. There's just one, and it's a red glazed NCERT, and it's available on the website of NCERT also. It's available in the market also. Okay, it may not be completely available in print, wo photocopy hoga, whatever is there, but it's there. Now, when you look at, you know, art and culture, the most important thing to know is you always should use a pictographic approach to remember and to study this. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि आपने बुक उठाई और आप टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर स्टाइल्स में आपने रटना चालू कर दिया कि ये एक टेबल है, ये द्रविड़ा स्टाइल है, ये नगाड़ा स्टाइल है, ये विसारा स्टाइल है, और भाई हो जा रट्टे चालू. That's of no significance because you're not going to remember, and you will have to give way more time to remember it. So I, for example, say, for example, if you look at the Dravida style, this is also a diagram taken from there also. So if you compare the Dravida and the Nagara, it is very easily comparable if you know the diagram. Okay. Similarly, for example, let's talk about paintings. These are the important themes for art and culture. Themes पता होना चाहिए क्योंकि art and culture में देखिए problem यह है कि there are sometimes questions which are coming in art and culture which are like bouncers. ठीक है? Which are bouncers in the sense कि आप उसको नहीं खेल सकते. And you should even not try playing them primarily because you will waste up too much time. Okay. So for example, in art and culture, what your focus should be on is to do the basics, everything. So for example, the important key areas I'm telling you that you should be focusing upon while doing art and culture, and they are, for example, the temple architecture styles, the painting styles, then for example, the sculpture. Then, for example, after temples, paintings, sculptures, there's also been questions on puppetry and classical dance forms. इससे questions कई बार आए हैं prelims में. Okay? Painting से questions आए हैं mains में भी, prelims में भी. Temple styles is another important aspect जो आपको पता होना ही होना चाहिए. You cannot do without these themes that you should be completely familiar with. एक last चीज जो सबका ही hot है वो है Jainism, Buddhism, Sufi, Bhakti. This is something that is not there in the NCERT. Okay? This is something that you'll have to do from the class notes itself, okay? Because this is something that is also important and very high yield from your prelims examination point of view. पिछले 1 या 2 साल से क्वेश्चन नहीं आए हैं, लेकिन उसके पहले 2 साल और उसके पहले भी कईयों साल बहुत questions, there have been many questions from Buddhism and Jainism which are completely high key areas. So before you start preparing, your focus should not be on finding out which books to read. ये बच्चे पूछते हैं वो सवाल जिन्हें कुछ जो जब मेरे से बच्चे आके ये सवाल पूछते हैं कि सर मैं कौन सी बुक पढ़ूं, सो आई फील दैट दे हैव नॉट डन देयर होमवर्क. दे शुड कम एंड आस्क मी कि सर विच आर द टॉपिक्स आई शुड रीड. द सेकंड क्वेश्चन भी शुड बी फ्रॉम वेयर आई शुड रीड दीज टॉपिक्स. सो आई एम ट्राइंग टू फोकस ऑन द टॉपिक्स. नाउ आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू अनदर एग्जांपल, समथिंग that is not per se of history, but this is just a minute of an example of how, suppose आप agriculture newspaper भी पढ़ रहे हैं, economy की क्लास में भी पढ़ रहे हैं, नोट्स में भी पढ़ रहे हैं, मडी स्टडी मटेरियल लेके भी पढ़ रहे हैं, योजना से भी पढ़ रहे हैं, EPW से भी पढ़ रहे हैं, तो क्या करें? एग्रीकल्चरल में PhD तो नहीं करनी है आपने, है ना? तो आपके पास you should have the problems of the agricultural sector. These are the 4 problems of the agricultural sector. This is the way forward of the agricultural sector, and this is just a summary that I made in 15 minutes from your economic survey, agriculture chapter. Now when you read a chapter and you underline it and you keep it, it's a waste. Don't do that. You make a summary that you can use later, add upon it later. आप अगली बार क्लास में अगर एग्रीकल्चर पढ़ रहे हैं तो उसमें से अगर आपको कुछ 3 नए पॉइंट मिले तो आप इसमें जाके यहां जोड़ दीजिए. तो यही तो आप आखिरी में रिवाइज करेंगे. क्लास नोट्स थोड़ी रिवाइज कर लेंगे एक दिन पहले बैठ के, राइट? सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू शुड बी डूइंग. नाउ next thing that I'm trying to focus upon is just the world history section, and then we can take up your questions if you have any, and we can call it a day there. Now when we talk about देखिए world history, okay, now the first important thing to know about world history is ये सिर्फ मेंस में आता है, तो इस पे किताबों की किताबें पढ़ने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री जितनी डेप्थ में पढ़नी होती है, यू डोंट नीड टू रीड वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री इन दैट काइंड ऑफ अ डेप्थ. इट इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट टू रीड वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री in that kind of a depth. One thing also that is happening in the mains examination is for 1 year there will be no question from world history. From the next year, in the next year there will be 2 questions. 1 year there will be no question on post-independence history. Next year there will be 2 questions on post-independence history. So they have enough spectrum to cover. There can be years when there are no questions from this, but there goes no year in which there is no question from modern Indian history. तो modern Indian history में आपका ज्यादा टाइम होना चाहिए, उससे कम टाइम आप वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री को दीजिए और सबसे कम टाइम आप पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस हिस्ट्री को दीजिए. मेडिवल तो मेंस में आता ही नहीं है. ओके, सो मेंस इज नो मेडिवल हिस्ट्री. Okay, ancient history I'm saying is broadly in consonance with art and culture. Ancient history को अलग से नहीं मैं ट्रीट कर रहा हूं, यहां पे आर्ट एंड कल्चर के ओवरलैप में ही वो हो जाएगा. So what I'm trying to say is world history requires relatively lesser depth, so your amount of time spent on this must be lesser. Now what you need to do is just to focus upon important topics in world history. The important topics in world history is the Industrial Revolution, is the unification of Germany and Italy, is the French Revolution. Was the French Revolution actually a revolution? What was the significance of the French Revolution? Upon the Paris Commune and the significance of the Paris Commune, ये सब important है मेंस के लिए. Paris Commune पे क्वेश्चन भी आ चुका है पहले एक बार. ओके, सो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट. एक और जो नई प्रजाति के क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं, and they are comparing modern Indian history and world history. For example, there's a question that came in your mains examination, and this is about the Russian Revolution, and it was the significance of the Russian Revolution to post-independence economic planning in India. Okay, so the 5-year plans and its significance, all of this is the relation that is being talked about here. So Russian Revolution is also important. Okay, there's another kind of question जो यहाँ बनता है, for example, comparing, you know, the unification of Germany that was brought about by, yeah, so by Bismarck. So Germany's unification was something that was carried out by Bismarck, and how was his policy to unify Germany different from compared to the policy of Patel to unify India? तो ये भी एक और comparative kind of questions which are trying to link modern Indian history and world history. अब ये आपको इसलिए पता होना चाहिए because you should know the mentality of the examiner. The examiner has limited questions to cover a lot of things, right? So in one question, he wants to test as many aspects of your knowledge as possible. So in one question, he can ask you about the unification of Germany as well as about the post-independence aspect of unification of princely states within India. Okay, so these are the kind of questions which will, you know, can be used in the future, and this is going to be the future trend. आप देखेंगे there will be more and more questions of this comparative aspect in your mains examination. Okay, so the Russian Revolution is important. World War I के causes, its significance is important. World War II is important. एक और topic जो important है, and that is the Great Depression and the significance of the Great Depression. The significance of the Great Depression, 1929 economic depression that happened, and its significance to the world economy. उसके बाद एक post independence, एक post World War II, World War I and World War II both are important. Post World War II से आपके मेंस में भी बहुत क्वेश्चंस आए हैं पिछले 2-3 सालों में. So there was a question in the Suez Canal crisis of 1956 in your mains examination. Okay, so post World War II, the Cold War era है, that is also something that is very important to know. And the important events in the Cold War era में क्या है कि पूरी किताबें नहीं पढ़नी है आपको. Just these events are important to read about. एंड जो कोल्ड वॉर एरा ये अभी मैं आपको बुक्स बताऊंगा, उसमें ज्यादातर बुक्स में नहीं है ये. देयर आर ओनली अ फ्यू बुक्स व्हिच आर देयर. थैंकफुली देयर इज वन एनसीईआरटी आल्सो व्हिच इज देयर. इट्स अ वेरी गुड एनसीईआरटी. ओके, सो आई विल टेल यू अबाउट दैट आल्सो. But for example, if you look in the post-Cold War, in the Cold War era, you firstly about United Nation reforms. ये एक टॉपिक है जो वर्ल्ड वॉर, ये पेपर 1 में भी आ सकता है, पेपर 2 में भी आ सकता है कि यूनाइटेड नेशंस वाज फॉर्म्ड इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2. इज इट रेलेवेंट टुडे? डज इट नीड टू अंडरगो रिफॉर्म्स? इट्स अ हाई वैल्यू टॉपिक फ्रॉम योर मेंस एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में भी आ सकता है, वो पेपर 2 में भी आ सकता है. Okay, that's there. The second important thing is about the Vietnam War, the Korean War, the Suez Canal crisis, और the Bay of Pigs, and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and finally the reasons, the causes, and the significance, everything about the breakdown of the Soviet Union. So ये Cold War era में important है. So this is all that I'm saying is a certain key important areas. Details are there in the PPT. I've also put some questions there in the PPT. Okay, so that's there. Now let me just talk to you about the books that you need to know. देखिए, modern Indian history, there are many books, right? The Bipin Chandra himself comes in many shapes and sizes, right? तो आप तो बिपिन चंद्रा जी की इतनी सारी किताबें इतने सारे फॉर्मेट्स में आती हैं कि स्टूडेंट्स गेट कंफ्यूज कि कौन सी बिपिन चंद्रा पढ़नी है. देखिए, द फोकस ऑफ योर रीडिंग is, I'll say there are two things. Either you use the class notes, because the class notes we try to give it in a fashion which is very condensed and power packed, जो आप एग्जाम में यूज कर सकते हैं, जो बस आपको ग्रहण करना है, प्रसाद है. You just have to eat it and probably keep eating it again and again. So that's it. Or in terms of notes, in terms of books, for example, Spectrum is something that people talk about, right? Spectrum, Modern Indian History is one book that I think one can safely refer to. About Bipin Chandra, which comes in many forms, what you should not use, which Bipin Chandra you should not use, I'm saying, is the thickest one, India's struggle till independence, the main Bipin Chandra. Unless and until you are a history optional student, you don't need to read that because it's too thick, it is too time consuming, is not that useful for you, unless and until you are a history optional student. So Bipin Chandra में आप NCERT जो है वो पढ़ सकते हैं. देखिए, my best suggestion if you want to read is NCERT is very good. Okay, NCERT से especially the 1700 to 1857 वाला जो portion है, okay, it's very good to read from there. Okay, NCERT से questions आपके ना prelims के ना mains के कोई solve होंगे, लेकिन NCERT just gives you that backdrop. Okay, if you're trying to do a so-called self-study or something, it gives you that backdrop that builds a good story. बट से क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं होंगे, क्वेश्चन यहाँ ही से सॉल्व होंगे स्पेक्ट्रम से. ठीक है, लेकिन स्पेक्ट्रम से भी जो क्वेश्चन सॉल्व होंगे, स्पेक्ट्रम इज लाइक लक्ष्मीकांत. ठीक है, लक्ष्मीकांत की एक खासियत है कि लक्ष्मीकांत की सिग्निफिकेंस प्री पे ही चालू होकर प्री पे ही खत्म हो जाती है. देयर इज नथिंग दैट कम्स फ्रॉम लक्ष्मीकांत इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन. ओके, इन अ सिमिलर मैनर, Spectrum was also something that you will going to rely primarily upon from the prelims examination. Means के लिए the comparison kind of answers you can only build when you are reading with that mindset from the very start. Okay, so Spectrum is not going to compare things for you and give it to you. You have to know that these kind of comparisons can come, and then you read the text so you can build your own comparisons, or the class is going to be relatively more useful for that. Okay, that's there. That's about. इसके अलावा कोई और किताब पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है ही नहीं. Okay, मतलब I'm saying there is no use. If you're doing it, it's out of interest. The Plasi 2 partition is there by Shekhar Bandyopadhyay. So Plasi 2 partition is again for people who are a history optional student. Otherwise, there are certain fringe areas जो मेंस में बहुत आते हैं, जो स्पेक्ट्रम में नहीं है, जो एनसीईआरटी में नहीं है. ये मेंस में इसमें बड़े सवाल आते हैं. जैसे एक है रॉयल इंडियन नेवी एंड सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ रिन म्यूटनी. और उसके बाद विमेन पे पिछले 4 साल में 3 बार क्वेश्चन आया है हिस्ट्री में. Women's contribution to freedom struggle, women's significance of women's struggle to the freedom struggle, role of backward class to the freedom struggle. ये सारी चीजें शेखर बंदोपाध्याय में दी हैं, but I don't want to read the whole thing for that. That's of no relevance. What you should primarily rely upon is the class handouts, and it is going to be very useful to cover these fringe areas. Okay. Now, उसके बाद कल्चर में आप आ जाइए. देखिए, कल्चर में अगेन आई विल से बहुत सारी बुक्स हैं. ओके, कोई जरूरत नहीं है. कल्चर में आप एनसीईआरटीज पढ़िए 11th क्लास वाली. उसके बाद एंशिएंट इंडिया की एनसीईआरटी पढ़ लीजिए. आई डोंट रिमेंबर विच क्लास इट इज. ओके, एनसीईआरटी है एंशिएंट इंडिया की, 7th की है, 8th की है, कौन सी है, आई डोंट रिमेंबर स्टैंडर्ड्स नॉर्मली. सो एंशिएंट इंडिया की एनसीईआरटी जो है ये आप पढ़ लीजिए, एंड यू सप्लीमेंट दिस विद क्लास नोट्स. बस नहीं, इसके आगे कुछ और. यू डोंट नीड टू बाय नितिन सिंघानिया दिस दैट फ्रॉम द मार्केट. देखिए, there is no use of a book which is comprehensive but you cannot read it. It's better not to read a comprehensive book that you cannot revise. ठीक है, अगर आपको इतनी मोटी बुक रिवाइज करनी है, वो आर्ट एंड कल्चर की है, जिसमें से शायद 1 या 2 क्वेश्चन आएंगे और फिर भी कोई श्योरिटी नहीं है कि उस बुक में से आएंगे. It's a stupid strategy to do. Okay, so that is there. So that is my suggestion. Next, when you come to world history, Arjun Dev, NCRT, old NCRT Arjun Dev, or Arjun Dev, the same thing also comes written by Arjun Dev only by Orient Black Swan publication. ठीक है, उन्होंने NCRT को पब्लिश कर दिया है, ठीक है, नए हेडिंग के अंदर. तो अर्जुन देव वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, दैट इज देयर, बट इट डज नॉट कवर द कोल्ड वॉर एरा. उसके लिए एक एनसीईआरटी है, एंड दैट इज एनसीईआरटी कंटेम्पररी वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री. और इसका दूसरा नाम, एक सेकेंड, इसका एक और नाम है, द एनसीईआरटी ऑल्सो हैज अनदर नेम, ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑफ वर्ल्ड पॉलिटिक्स करके भी इसी नाम से एक एनसीईआरटी आती है. ओके, सो दीज आर द ओनली 2 सोर्सेज यू शुड रेफर. इसके बाद नॉर्मन लू, अनदर मास्टरिंग वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, अनदर बुक है, वो आपको पढ़ने की जरूरत है क्योंकि आपको थोड़ी वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री का मास्टर बनना है, नहीं ना. तो यू डोंट नीड टू रीड दैट. वट एवर नीड्स टू बी डन अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस इज क्लास नोट्स, यू कॉम्प्लीमेंट इट, दैट्स इनफ. That is it. Okay, any doubts? Anything that you want to ask? पीछे वाले, आगे वाले, हाँ.
Sir, as far as world history is concerned, in some sources we have the like pretty good book. But sir, your questions are the totally remote question, West African independent led by Western UK, right? So
See the West African question that came in the examination, means examination this year was the total bouncer question. Okay, this was a question that not, I don't think so. The McBride Commission, there was a question in the McBride Commission or the West African Nation Commission. These are questions which nobody expects you to answer. There's a reason why the topper also does not score even 50% marks. जब वो फाइनल आता है रिजल्ट, राइट? यू डोंट फोकस अपॉन दोज फ्रूट्स दैट नोबडी इज कैचिंग. देखिए, बाउंसर पे छक्का मारने की जरूरत नहीं है, फुल टॉस पे मार लीजिए. ओके, डोंट गेट आउट ऑन अ फुल टॉस, डोंट ट्राई टू हिट अ बाउंसर फॉर अ 6, राइट? So the point is, you do this much. Over and above this, if there is a question that you've done this area and thoroughly, and you cannot do it with class notes, with these books, be rest assured that nobody else is doing it also. Okay? Right? So that is why I'm trying to say that these are the fruits that you should catch on to. Over and above, तो आपकी श्रद्धा है, इसके ऊपर भी आप पढ़ सकते हैं, लेकिन इतना 3 बार एक ही सोर्स से पढ़ना जरूरी है, कीपिंग द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस इन माइंड. Over and above this, you can do more, and I can tell you more books for that also. But this is what, yeah. पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए देखिए क्या है. पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए भी सिर्फ 2 बुक्स हैं, बिपिन चंद्रा है, रामचंद्र गुहा है, और एनसीईआरटीज हैं. पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस के लिए भी एनसीईआरटीज हैं, पॉलिटिकल साइंस की 11th और 12th की. ओके, यू रीड ओनली दोज एनसीईआरटीज. ओके, एंड there can be only very specific, and the class notes. I don't want you to focus upon बिपिन चंद्रा, क्योंकि रेलेवेंस नहीं है, कुछ नहीं आएगा. और उसके ऊपर आप वो रामचंद्र गुहा जी की उठा लीजिए, that's even more thicker, and it's written in a format that even after reading the whole thing, it is useless. You cannot write a page on it. There's a question on the Bhudan movement in 2014 and the significance of the Bhudan movement and how successful it was. आप रामचंद्र गुहा जी की पूरी किताब पढ़ लीजिए, आप नहीं लिख पाएंगे उसमें से आंसर. आप एनसीईआरटी पढ़ लीजिए, उसमें लिखा है भूदान मूवमेंट के बारे में. सो एनसीईआरटी एंड द क्लास नोट्स फॉर दैट ऑल्सो इज द वे टू गो फॉरवर्ड. ओके, दैट्स देयर. एनीथिंग एल्स? व्हाट अबाउट करंट अफेयर्स? देखिए, हिस्ट्री में ज्यादा करंट अफेयर्स का कल्चर पार्ट. देखिए, करंट अफेयर्स, व्हाट यू नीड टू नो इज कि देखिए, हर साल प्रीलिम्स के पहले देयर इज a small booklet that we give primarily of certain cultural developments in the new, in the past year. That is all that you need to focus upon. उसके अलावा you don't need to, जैसे आप polity हो गया, ये economy हो गया, जिसमें you dedicatedly focus upon which is the new bill which is being introduced, no new heritage site which is being discovered, etc. Don't need to focus upon. और आखिरी में जो आपको material मिलेगा उसमें आप देख लीजिए. That's it. Anything else?
So for Indian society,
Indian society is a topic that Smriti ma'am will come and will talk about later. But in the sense, देखिए, society के लिए again क्या है, society में तो ऐसे questions आ रहे हैं कि the kind of questions that are coming in society, 11th and 12th NCERT are Indian society, 11th and 12th NCERT are essential, but they are not enough to answer that. 11th and 12th NCERTs are very important, and वहां पे आप अपने न्यूज़पेपर का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट यूज कर सकते हैं. Whatever is happening in your newspapers with reference to old age, women, children, migrant workers, these are some, and the caste issue. ये 5 themes हैं जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Changing nature of caste, how is the position of women changing, what is the position of old age people, इस पे बार-बार question आए हैं. Okay, these are the 4 or 5 themes which are important. NCERT plus class notes. 11th and 12th, Indian society, sociology NCERTs these are. Okay. तो देखिए वो जो मेडिवल वाला जो इंपॉर्टेंस, देखिए मेडिवल के लिए भी जो एनसीईआरटी है दैट इज समथिंग दैट इज इनफ. उसके देखिए उसके जो इस बार क्वेश्चन आए हैं वो बहुत ही फैक्चुअल, कुछ 1-2 जो क्वेश्चन आए थे वो कि ये वाला नाम किसके साथ एसोसिएटेड था, ये वाला प्रॉपर्टी फॉर्म किस उसमें मिलता था, तो उस पर आप ज़्यादा डोंट गेट टू गंग हो ऑन इट. ठीक है, एंड यू जस्ट फोकस ऑन दिस मच दैट आई पर्सनली फील इज मोर देन इनफ. एनीथिंग एल्स? सीसीआर देखिए कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है इसके अलावा. वो मद्रास, वो तमिलनाडु की स्टेट कल्चर की बुक, सीसीआरटी एंड एवरीथिंग, वो आपको क्लास नोट्स में कॉम्प्लीमेंट हो जाएगा. डोंट नीड टू गो एंड रीड बुक्स एंड बुक्स. नहीं है बुक्स पढ़ने का, रिटर्न पहले देखिए फिर बुक पढ़िए. कोई बुक अगर आप, एंड आई एम टेलिंग यू दिस अ गोल्डन रूल, इफ यू रीडिंग वन बुक कवर टू कवर फॉर यूपीएससी, you don't know how to prepare for UPSC. Picking up before reading a book, you should know which are the topics from this book I have to read. पूरी CCRT पढ़ने का the return is not that much. Okay, so the return देखिए और फिर पढ़िए. अगर आप क्लास नहीं कर पाएंगे and you have the time, then you can go for it. That's not a problem. But my focus is to give you something that is actually doable. This is the bare minimum. इसके ऊपर आपकी श्रद्धा है ना? Whatever you want to do above this, but this is something that you must do. Anything else? If you've already done it, that's very good. You just summarize it. Just summarize it and use it in a manner that you can revise it later. Don't keep the whole book that I'll revise the whole book. Just summarize it and use it. Anything else? Yeah.
The class notes and the yellow materials both are same.
The class notes and the?
Vision materials for art and culture separate book.
Both the vision material for art and culture and the class notes. No, in the class notes what also happens is that there is a lot of comparison. For example, even for modern Indian history, you'll get the class notes, you'll get the printed material as well as the class notes. The class notes are totally, because what I do in the class notes is all PPTs in a point-wise format. In the vision handouts that you will get is a more paragraph-wise format. Okay, so in the class notes, what is the previous year questions which have come, what is the comparison, let's draw a table, let's draw a flow chart, let's draw a timeline. So that's more of the class-based thing. That's not there in the handouts, the printed material that you get. Anything else? Sab, nobody has to play a test match. Don't play a T20 also. Go and play a one day and prepare from today, right? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pratibha. I'll be your course coordinator when you get in VISION IAS, when you come on board with VISION IAS. So we'll just, how many of you are freshers here? Just immediately, or I'm waiting for, oh, okay, good. Everyone are just out of college. So why civil services examination immediately out of college when you have options of doing your masters, joining IT, good money, you're ready to sacrifice your next another 1.5 years or 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, whatever it is. Why civil services? Something you inherently wanted to do it. Okay, anybody else? Let's be interactive. I don't want any...
It basically gives us the powers in getting those administrative subsidies that we can touch the lives of many persons with our decision. We could take a change.
Okay, so you think when you get into civil services, clear civil services examination, you get into administration and you have powers in your hand to take decision to touch the life of many people. Nice? Anybody else, guys? Anybody there honestly telling, I'm here for money, I'm here just for name, fame, and people will respect me, and I get a good girl to get married or good guy to get married? Any honest replies like that? Nobody? So modest, okay, chalo. So you all have taken, you know, among you, I think in your class in the college, somewhere about minimum of 50, 60 friends who studied along with you in the degree. But you guys who are here from different colleges and universities and states across India, you have chosen a road which is very less traveled by. for the following reasons, which is, I have just displayed it on the board, because you wanted to aim for the higher goals, just like you said. And like you said, you want to touch the lives of many people. And there are people who wanted to be a generalist, who are very good at, naturally they are very good at administrator. They want, and some incident in their life could have sparked some small newspaper bit, small news that you have studied. Who knows, maybe a film star, some fictional character's movie that you have watched, anything could have influenced you. Maybe your friend's uncle's daughter or son, some distant, you don't even know who are they. Somebody must have cleared and they said, he can do it, why not you? Or why not you? You're far better in doing it. So there are multiple reasons. But finally, the outcome is you wanted to do some good. You wanted to bring some change. You want to be the change. So that's why you're here. So I hope nobody is here out of compulsion. Good. See, I hope all of you know about the exam pattern. Anyway, the faculties before me must have told about the prelims, mains, and the interview part. And in Foundation Course 2018, which will start by April 10th, you will be covered both the prelims and mains aspect. Interview will not be covered there. Okay, and very important note. So for you students who are writing, appearing for the examination, how many students out of the lakhs and lakhs who are applying clears? Anybody, rough number? Okay, see, you know how many person or how many candidates are going to make it to the list even before you appear for the exam. Because UPSC very clearly says this year we are going to take only 980 candidates. But still you are one among the 9 to 11 lakh candidates who apply for this examination. You have that confidence there, I can do it, I can come, that less than 0.1 percentage, the level, the pass percentage of clearing this examination. So this is the competition level. But if you divide and see, out of the 9 to 11 lakh candidates, somewhere 5 lakhs appear for the exam. In that 5 lakhs, not more than 40% actually prepare for the examination. Remaining, everybody else will just go, okay, let me just go right. Okay, and that 2.5 lakhs, very serious candidates goes to half. Preparing 1 month before, preparing 2 months before, really preparing hard. So somewhere about 30-40,000. So in that 30-40,000, first timers, second timers, writing third timers, and who are really good at CSAT and preparing GS, who lose the prelims examination by 1 mark by border, leaving all of them. So 1 in every 2% clears. So you just have to fight for the 1 in 2% to clear your first stage. If you actually ask, you have to just fight with your neighbor, you have to fight with your roommate, somebody else. Just 1 in 2 candidate, you have to be the best. Not with the person who is not at all preparing, I am fighting with him and then you will clear. That won't happen. You have to fight with the best, whom you have seen. So faculties, they would have told you about which books to study, what to go about. At least for the first 2 subjects, they have told you about history and polity. For the geography and economics, you will listen from the faculty. And like they said, keep practicing, whether it is prelims questions or mains question, practice answer writing. See, we'll go to the foundation course. So you have the brochure in your hand. I'll tell you a very brief idea about our course program. How many of you have gone through VISION IAS general website? Okay. From the people who have gone through, what all you have seen other than the payment or register related? Tell me about the open sources that you have gone through. Current affairs, anything else? One by one, okay. Yes, current affairs, toppers sessions, infographics, Air India News.
VISION Monthly Magazine.
VISION Monthly Magazine is what he has said. Mains, that comes under current affairs. PD 365, mains 365, yes. Toppers, answer sheets, yes. Open tests. Anything else, guys? Okay, so you have almost known every free, no, I wouldn't say free resources, it is actually an open resources. We would want to give as many material, good material for any candidate who is preparing for the civil services examination, so that he can put less time in preparing those content, more time in preparing himself for the examination. Okay, so that is the whole motto of giving open resources. So beyond that, what is there? What do you think the classroom program should give you? What do you think that you should get out of the Vision's classroom program? Guys, you're going to join for the classes, so you should have some expectations. Please open up. Lesser dependence on books. Next.
Interactive session where we could just clear our doubts.
Interactive session clearing doubts with the faculties.
Right guidance.
Right guidance, direction. Competitive environment inside the classroom. Okay. Yes? Regularity. Yeah, you should come regularly to classes if you really want to get good information and be competitive and prepare for the examination. Good point. Make sure you guys have 100% attendance every day by coming to classes. Regularity is a really good point. Next. See, I'll make one point very clear. Vision IAS classroom program is going to be a just 10 months classroom program for you. Nobody is going to force you into come to class daily. Okay, there's no attendance, there's no reduction of marks in your internals or increasing your marks based on your attendance or anything. It is up to you to take this 10 months very seriously, whether you want to celebrate Diwali 5 days, you want 5 days leave, or whether you want to take 1 week leave, for some reasons, no. Just next 10 months, you're going to sit in a class. After that, nobody is going to ask you to sit inside the classroom, even if you want to. So make sure just next 10 months, you're going to use it very, very efficiently. So what will be done? We will not focus mostly, not more than 2 subjects at a time when you start the classes from April 10th. When we do that, every day there will be an assignment questions. Why assignment questions? Assignment questions are usually subjective questions that we give, mostly from the topics that has been covered inside your classes. Not beyond what has been taught, only from what has been taught in the class. So you go home that day, revise the content and write answer for the subjective question that has been given to you. So the whole point of this assignment question is preparing you to write a good answer in your mains examination. Journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right? So you have to practice every day. So only then you will be able to write a good answer when you are in a position that when you actually sit inside that exam hall and write your mains answer. And GS prelims questions. Again, on a daily basis, there will be an MCQs which will be given to you. It will be uploaded in your platform, student platform online. You can go through those questions, see what you have understood, and then come ask doubts from our faculty. Our faculties are there round the clock to help you. There is, which is a very, you should know, there will be a batch coordinator for you guys. Just like a class teacher in the school timing. So there will be a batch coordinator who have prepared for civil services like you guys, maybe not, let's say like more than 2-3 attempts of mains, who knows the subject very well, who knows something about every subject, who have prepared really well for the examination. That person who sits for you in the class, if you have any doubts, if you're not being able to talk to the faculty, you want immediate doubt clearing sessions, that person is always there. He's like second faculty in charge for you to, he's a support to the main faculty. He or she will always be there to help you with your academic queries and then take care of your needs, any needs. Basically, Vision's representative for your batch in your class. We are there with you in your class to take care of your needs. And then regularly after, let's say some 10 classes are over for you. Once after some 10 classes are over, certain topics are covered, there will be a mini test conducted for both prelims and for the mains to prepare you for the All India Test Series. See, All India Test Series will not coincide with your classroom program. It is a default program which is made for each and every candidate who want to join for the test series or for the classroom program. So whenever your syllabus are completed, you can always write and appear for the test, either by going to the test centers, or you can write at home and submit your answers. And PT 365 and Mains 365, like you said, you have to prepare current affairs on your own regularly. Only then PT 365 and Mains 365 will help you. So don't wait for next 10 months. There will be a PT 365 classes for me. I will study my entire 1 year current affairs in that 2 days. You will not understand anything. It will be Greeks and Latin to you. Start reading newspaper. Developing the habit is very important because it helps you in mains. And again, PT 365 and Mains 365, that copy will be there with each and every candidate who is preparing for the civil services examination in any corner of the world. Right? So if you're going to write the same point as he is going to write, then what's the difference? You can attend the classes, you can know the content, but still your answer has to make a difference from the rest. So prepare for that, making the difference. So the rest, the content you will learn from the classroom program. So manage your time properly. See, all of us have that same 24/7 into 365. Only that time you have and I have. Time is doing its job. So I hope you guys also do your job for the next 1 year. It's not a very, very difficult process for you to cross, as long as if you take it very lightly. So don't shut yourself inside the room. Have fun, but don't have too much fun. You do Facebook, but don't always sit on Facebook. And don't listen to too many people. If you have some guidance, and if you feel his guidance is good, just listen to him or her throughout your preparation. If you go for 3-4 people and all of you will confuse you, and at the end of the year you will not be reaching anywhere upfront. Okay, so any doubts, guys, regarding the classroom program or anything else? And regarding the content coverage in the foundation course, don't worry, society, IR, everything will be covered. In fact, I'd say it's very best content for society or IR. Don't worry about the classes. All your content will be covered before, like 10 months from now, you can count it. Anything else?
Suppose we miss a class in a accounting college or so. So how can we just...
Okay, so since you have asked this, I'll tell you. See, this is how VISION IAS student platform. Once you become a student of VISION IAS, this is how your platform looks. Okay, so your class, right, like I'm taking class now, I'm standing in front of you. Today is an open session. Somewhere across India, whoever has the link, they are being able to watch in YouTube. But this platform, it's a closed platform, and each and every student will be given a user ID and password. If you're not being able to come to the class today, you're not well, you can always watch the classes online. At the same time, when the classes are going on here, you want to ask doubts. Let's say, I'm just opening some random classes. See, this is the place where your live class will be there. You can always ask your doubts write your doubt and question here, but you cannot ask through voice. You can only type it out, but just put it whether it is your academic or technical query so that it goes to the concerned person. Okay, if it's an academic query, the batch coordinator who sits in the class will forward the query if there is very analytical, and if it needs a discussion, he or she will forward it to the faculty. If it's a very factual question, under her discretion, if he or she knows the answer for sure, she'll reply it. If she doesn't know, or if she thinks there are certain 1 or 2 questions which she feels this question is a really good question, the entire class should know the answer for it, the doubt should be cleared, so the batch coordinator will forward the query to the faculty. And all your classes will be uploaded in your platform, and it will remain in your platform till the final results of your batch. Like you have joined for the 2018, so till the 2018 final results are there, the videos will be there in your platform. And then, let's say for example, You want to know your class schedule, you can click the class schedule. If there is any handouts, just say there's some PowerPoints used in the classes, you want to see that PowerPoint. Under the class handout section, the PowerPoints will be added, and each and every details related to the class will always be there. And then the summary of the classes, this is the synopsis. It gets what is taught in today's class. Let's say you have missed continuously 3-4 classes. Roughly you want to know what happened in the 3-4 classes, what is being taught. When you come below the classes, you see the entire summary, what has been taught in that day's class. Like I said, daily self-test questions, assignment questions. Since this is a mains batch, we have not given just mains only batch. And like if you're not attending the live class, you're attending the classes somewhere at the midnight. Let's say you still have doubts that time, you can talk to expert, use the talk to expert option, and then you can type it, and always you can give the feedback regarding each and every class through the feedback section. You will find your all the other details, everything, the mains test that will be added, it will be under the mains section. Prelims, if any upcoming discussions are there, it will be there in the discussion section. If you want to talk to any expert other than the persons who are actually taking your classes, other than the faculty who's main faculties who are taking the classes, there are many support faculties also, second in line faculty. So you can always contact them. And then FAQs, if you need any help, I'll always be there. Anything else?
And weekend class, regular class.
Kya difference? See, regular batch is nothing but Monday to Saturday, the given time 3 hours, and in weekend batch just on 2 days, each day 9 hours of class. It's mostly for the working people and who wanted to spend the entire week preparing, and then who want to just attend 2 days of classes, morning 9 to 12, 12:30 to 3:30, 4 to 7, Saturday, and then the Sunday also same way. So full Saturday, Sunday, you will end up inside this hall. Rest of the 5 days you are free. Yes?
In about how much time is the recorded class will be uploaded online?
Mostly 20 by end of the day. See, people, let's say he's recording here. He's recording here and continuously there is batches. Immediately, even when it is done, he sends the card for the post-processing. Post-processing के लिए थोड़ा time तो लगेगा. So after that, mostly within 24 hours, it should be done. Before next, as in by end of the day, 5 or 6 o'clock, it should be done. Yes? See, regarding mains test series and test discussion, whenever a mains module is added to you, okay, you will be informed. All India test series, yes, it will be informed to you, and you will have the module in your class, in your hand, and then when you write the test, and usually not 24 hours, 48 hours before, you will receive a mail if you have attempted the test. If you have actually attempted for the test, you will receive a mail where will be the test discussion held, which classroom the test discussion will be held, on which date and which time. And if you have just been assigned the test code, but you have not appeared for it, you will just receive a message, the test discussion will be held on this date and this time. But if you want still know the details, always you can keep regularly checking on the platform where I showed you test discussion, right? There you can keep checking. Okay.
But I would like to attend also video classes, online classes on Saturday.
Okay. You attend the Saturday's classes online, and then Sunday classes you come and take it. Yeah. See, but regarding fee payment and everything, you ask at the administrator. So you can talk to them. You can talk to them at the Karol Bagh Center regarding the fees payment and everything. They'll tell you. That's it, guys. Yes. Okay, see, you have exam in Delhi University 20th of May. Somebody has final examination in the month of April, and someone wants to give their IGNOU examination in the month of August. So we will not be cancelling. And let's say even for the government examination, I want to write bank examination this Sunday. Please don't keep classes. whatever it is, we will not cancel classes. Even you know before taking admissions that these are the priorities. So don't worry about losing the classes, because the classes are always available to you in the video format, recorded, and the faculties are there to clear your doubts. So don't worry about it. Yes? Okay, thank you guys. Next, there will be an economics session by Pratik sir. We'll see you. If you have any doubts, you can meet me at Karol Bagh Center.
Yeah, first of all, my name is Pratik Gupta, okay, and I'm being attached to the VISION IAS for the last 2.5 years, and I'm being responsible here to take the entire economics session, okay. So I basically done my master's from Delhi School of Economics, then prepared for the civil service, you know, and for the last 5 years, I'm in this line, okay. So first of all, just a very brief about the syllabus. I hope you all must be very much familiar about the syllabus of UPSC. How many of you actually seen the syllabus of UPSC? Prelims, mains, interview. You know UPSC also provide syllabus for the interview? Do you know this thing? No. And for the prelims and mains? Sure. Okay. So is it in the prelims examination they have defined the entire syllabus, or just the broad topics they have provided? And in the mains? So in the mains they have defined. So how many years back they have defined the syllabus of mains examination? 2013. So like before 2013 it was like same. So they were only providing the broad topics of all the economics, geography and the other. So you just need to, you know, guess yourself that what you need to prepare. But now the mains is comparatively easy, I would say, because you know the topics properly. Okay. Like first of all, that is a syllabus for the prelims examination for economics. So in the economics, they have mentioned 3 topics. First of all, basic principles of Indian economy. So under that, you can include so many things. Basic principles, you can say banking, fiscal policy, inflation, you know, then you're having foreign currency, then you're having this, you know, foreign exchange, foreign trade, these kind of things will be included. Then after that, social schemes of the government. So like this is the most hot favorite topic of the UPSC for the last 2 or 3 years. So like from these social schemes of the government, they are being asking 4 questions, 5 questions, sometime even 10 questions. Like last year in 2016, they asked 9 questions from the various schemes started by the government of India. Okay. Now the third one is social development through economic empowerment. So under that you can simply include, you know, poverty, population, agriculture, and the other kind of topic. So under that you have to guess yourself that what kind of topic will be there. Okay. So in the prelims, if you see the pattern of number of questions that they have asked. So like in 2010, they asked maximum 36 questions. So you can imagine, out of 100 questions, 36 questions is just from one portion, that is economics. Then 11, 16, 19, 18, 22, 15, and 29. So on an average, you can say UPSC is asking around 22 questions. So if I'll tell you exactly 22.14, exactly. So 22 questions you are getting from the economics portion every year. So around 20% of the paper is just from one portion. So you cannot think in terms of leaving this portion. So you have to prepare it. And I'm telling you, economics is a very interesting subject. Because if you prepare this subject properly, then you will feel what? Empowered yourself. Yes or no? Because you'll get to know so many things that is going around you, like taxes, you know, like what has been going in the economy. Like recently, Government of India has done the demonetization. So if you're being good in economics, if you're knowing the basic about the economics, then you will come to know that what is demonetization, why the Government of India had done the demonetization, what is the benefit, what is the negative, and what kind of thing the Government of India has to do when it comes to going for these kind of thing. Okay. So economics is a portion that is very important in terms of prelims, and moreover in terms of number of questions asked, and moreover in terms of becoming the aware citizen. Okay. Yes or no? Then after that, if you see the mains syllabus. So basically in the economics portion of mains examination, you will find certain topic in paper 2 and certain topics in paper 3. So like in paper 2 and 3, you are having these kind of topic, Indian economy and issue relating to planning, mobilization of resources. So basically this is fiscal policy. Then after that, growth, development and employment, that is again related to fiscal policy, plus you are having a topic of poverty and unemployment, that is a part of it. Then after that, inclusive growth, again part of, you can say, this fiscal policy topic. Then government budgeting, that has been kind of mix of polity as well as economy. Okay. Then transport and marketing of agriculture produce and issue of related constraints. So that is about the agriculture topic. Then technology, e-technology in the aid of farmers, again part of agriculture topic. Okay. Then after that, issue of buffer stocks and food security, that is again part of agriculture topic. Then technology mission, economics of animal rearing, food processing industry, land reforms. So land reforms is a part of, you can say, both economics and moreover, geography topic also, because in geography they will also tell you, that what is actually land reform, what kind of effort has been put by Government of India for the land reform. But in economics portion, what I'll do, I'll simply tell you what is the current status of land reform, how that is going to benefit the Indian economy. Like if the land reform will be done, then how it is going to happen. Like in very simple term, what is land reform? If suppose in Rajendra Nagar area, there is a one big farmer, okay, and you are having, let's suppose, around 200, you can say tenants, or you can say the farmers who have been working working on this land. So what you're supposed to do in land reform, simply provide a thing called land ceiling. Land ceiling means that you will fix that how much land can be held by one single person, and then simply after that, take the remaining land from that person by paying them adequate compensation, and then simply divide this land into small part and give this land to whom? To this people. So earlier who were working as a worker now become what? Proprietor. Okay? So that is basically land reform. So you want to make the poor what? Empowered. That is basically land reform. And we have been trying this since 1947. 1947, what happened in 47? Yeah, independence, okay? So still it is not completed. So it's almost how many years of independence? It is 2017, okay? So still it is not completed. So what we will discuss in class, why the government of India, or you can say the state governments are not being able to complete the land reform, because land is a state subject. So when you read Indian polity and you will read 7th schedule of the Constitution of India, so in the state list, you will get what? You will get the land. So land is a state subject. So why the state government of India, or you can say why the state governments in India are not being able to complete the land reform. So we'll discuss this particular thing, okay? So effects of liberalization, that is basically what? Industrial policy. Then after that, changes in the industrial policy, again you can say the policy after the 1991. Then the third one, issue relating to poverty and hunger. That is a very interesting topic. So basically you'll get to know about the reality of India. What do you think, how many poor people we are having in India? How many poor people we are having in India who are being living below poverty line? 30? It's actually 36 crore. That is more than the population of whom? USA. What do you think? Every third poor people living where? India, not in USA obviously. Okay, so that is a figure given by World Bank that every third poor person at a global level lives in India. So poverty is a topic by which you will get to know about the reality of India. So government at a central level and state level are being saying that we have been doing so many work and we've been trying to remove poverty, but poverty is still there. So certain topics will actually make you familiar with the reality of India. Yes or no? Like if I'll comment about the current government. So current government is saying that we are doing really well. So GDP is growing very fastly, 7%, 8%. But the point is it poverty is being reduced in India or not? That is the main question. So we are having what? Growth in our country, but we are not having development. Okay. So if you have seen the recent document by this World Bank, not the World Bank, United Nations, that they provided a World Happiness Index. So in this, our ranking has been gone down. Even Pakistan is more happy. I was really amazed to see this thing, that Pakistan is even more happy than India. But that is a ranking given by one agency. So you'll get to know about the reality, that what is actually being going in the India and at the global level when you read economics. Okay. Then after that, important international institutions. So like we are having WTO, World Bank, IMF. These are the three most important. So we'll discuss about these three. Then after that, issue related to direct and indirect subsidies and minimum support price. Again, part of agriculture topic. Then after that, public distribution system. Again, so why I'm saying agriculture? Because agriculture is related to it. So we'll try to connect everything. Okay. Then PDS system. Then after that, infrastructure. And then after that, investment model. So that is the entire syllabus of economics in the 3 slides. So if you see the weightage of economics in paper 2 and paper 3 combined, so that was the number of, you can say, question that was asked by the UPSC in the last 4 years. So in 13 they asked 135 marks of question, 14, 130, then 150, and then 150. So on an average, they asked 141 marks of questions in the mains examination. So you can say, in GS mains, the weightage of economics is around 15% roughly. So in prelims, how much? 20%, and in mains, 15%. So 15% is a very huge number, I would say. Okay. Then, if you being, I would say, you are being familiar with the basic concepts of economics, then I think prelims economics questions are the most easy questions. Why I'm saying this thing? See the question level. In the context of which of the following do you sometimes find the term amber box, blue box, and green box? The answer is WT. So you're not supposed to apply a lot of mind here. You're not supposed to mug up things. The point is, as soon as you will read the question line and you have read economics properly, then you will simply try to find out where is WTO. Where is WTO? This one. So you'll simply mark A. Okay? So it won't take more than 10 to 15 seconds, I would say, to answer this question. So economics questions are very general and I would say very conceptual. Like this one is very general. See the second question, that is being very conceptual. Which of the following are included in the capital budget of the government of India? So when we study basically fiscal policy in your class, what I'll tell you that we are having two types of account, capital and revenue. Like let's suppose, if you've been coming to this institute for a class and you've been buying a metro ticket, so that is a daily expenditure. So suppose by chance your father said, "Ki beta, you are being putting really hard work for the purpose of preparing civil service. I'll give you a bike. You'll feel really happy." Yes or no? So that is a one-time expenditure. So when you buy or when you purchase a new bike, that is a capital expenditure. So basically you can say those expenditures which are being bulky and one time they are being capital. And those which are being daily are basically what? Revenue. So simply if you read this question, which of the following are included in the capital budget of the government of India? Now you can simply answer this. Expenditure on acquisition of assets like roads, building. What do you think? Is it a one time or daily? One time. Loans received from foreign government. One time or daily? One time. Loans and advances granted to the states and union territories. Again one time. You're not being giving loan every day. So what is the answer? Answer is 1, 2 and 3. So answer is D. So questions are what? Conceptual. And moreover, sometimes, economics questions are being asked by your interview board also. Because what happened in interview, things are being going, that every day you are being facing something new in economics. So like this question, consider the following statement regarding service tax in India. You know service tax? So like when you take admission in this institute, we'll charge two things from you. One is tuition fee and the second thing is service tax. Because we are not giving anything to you in terms of physical thing. We are just giving you what? Service. So we also need to charge what? Service tax. So this was the question. It is applied in entire India. It is applied on the food consumed in the restaurants on the total value. And it is applied not on the food item delivered as home delivery. So that is a question regarding the service tax. So this question was not asked by the UPSC in the prelims, I'm telling you simply. That is a question, that was asked by interview board recently. Interviews are going on? Yes or no? So why the interview board asked this question? So what happened? One of the candidates appeared recently for the interview. So the question was like this. Do you eat in restaurant? And you know the answer? What a person will say? Obviously yes, because each and every person is sometime going to the restaurant to eat something or to drink something. How many of you are going for drinking? Let it be. Okay. So basically, they simply asked, tell me, when you get a bill in a restaurant, what kind of taxes they will apply in your bill? Have you ever noted that?
VAT, service tax.
VAT and service tax. So suppose your bill value is 1,000. So what is the VAT rate in Delhi? 14 point? That is in UP. So you're from UP? Bihar, okay. So UP, Bihar is having same VAT rate. No. In restaurant it is 1. It is 12, exactly. So on this 1,000 rupee, they will add 125 as VAT. What is VAT? Value added tax. That is what? That is a sales tax. So at a state level, when you're paying VAT, that is a sales tax. Now after that, service tax.
It is around 14%, but in AC restaurant we get a rebate of 60%.
60%.
So we get a tax rate of 5.6% if we are sitting in an AC restaurant.
Okay. Are you sure? Yes, sir. Any idea about the, you go to the restaurant? कब गए थे लास्ट टाइम? नहीं, ये नहीं पूछ रहा क्या खाया था, बस पूछ रहा हूँ कब गए थे. 1 month back. कोई ऐसा जो रिसेंटली गया हो?
14.5%.
अब तो कोई नहीं बताएगा, कोई नहीं गया था. बताइए, मैं तो रोज ही जाता हूँ.
Sir, 14.5%.
14.5%. Okay. Service tax is 14.5. That means on this, it is 145. Okay. Then after that, there is one more thing called service charge. Recently, there is a notification on the part of Government of India that service charge is not compulsory. So if you want to pay, you will pay. Otherwise, there is no need to pay. So normally, they will apply service charge of 10%. That is how much? 100. Okay. So these taxes you're supposed to pay. But whatever this person said is completely fine. That is absolutely correct. Like, if you're going to a restaurant, you are eating something, you're consuming something, okay? But they're also giving you service. So like when you go there, they will provide you a chair, table, they will also serve water, food at your, at your place. Yes, so they're also giving you service. But is it like, if I'm consuming 1,000 rupees worth of goods, or you can say food, so is it like they have provided me equivalent to 1,000 rupees of service? The answer is no. जब मैंने 1,000 रुपए का खाना खाया, इसका मतलब ये है कि उन्होंने मुझे 1,000 रुपए की सर्विस प्रोवाइड की है. सर कितनी बार आया होगा टेबल पे? 2 बार, 3 बार, 4 बार. So basically, if I've been coming to my table for 4 times, that means every time that is a service worth of 250 rupees. Obviously not. So basically, what they provide, when it comes to paying service tax, you are supposed to pay 40% of the bill value. So what is the 40% of the bill value? 400. Now you're supposed to apply 14% of service tax. How much it is? 56 plus 0.5% of Krishi Kalyan cess. Yes or no? So 0.5% of 400 is how much? 2 rupees plus 0.5% of what? Swachh Bharat cess, 2 rupees. So you are supposed to pay only 60 rupees as a service tax. So in the bill, how they will charge the service tax? Either they will simply provide at the rate 6%. So when you charge 6%, how much it is? 60. Or what they will write? 5.6% plus 0.2 plus 0.2. How much it is? 6%. So that is how they are being charging what? Service tax. So the person who paid for the interview simply said, sir, 12.5% of VAT, 15% of service tax, and then service charge of 10% if it is being applied by the restaurant. So the interview board said, are you sure? He said, yes, sir, I'm sure. Then what interview board replied? When you are not able to spend your money wisely, how you are going to take care of the money of Government of India? Because normally what people do in the restaurant, they simply get the bill and they simply pay. They never bother about how much tax is being applied. So next time when you go to the restaurant, do notice this thing. And in case, if the restaurant person is applying a tax of 15% entirely in the name of service tax on your bill, simply take the bill and ask him, sir, please put a stamp on this of your restaurant. And then simply go where? To the consumer court. You will get a very good compensation, I'm telling you. Seriously. In Chennai, one person paid 73 rupees extra as a service tax, okay? Because the restaurant simply applied at 15%. He simply went to consumer court, he filed a suit, and he get a compensation of how much? 73,000 rupees. So imagine, so you will be able to take care the entire year restaurant bills. Yes or no? So that is a very good thing. So that's why I'm saying, if you study economics properly, and if you get a good person to tell you things, then you will actually get to know so many things that has been going in the economy. Nobody can make you fool. In case of this taxes, in case of the normal thing that has been going around the economy. You're not supposed to go very deep in economics. That we already did in my master's. Because here we are being preparing for what? Civil services. And civil services what? That you will become what? A journalist that need to know a general thing about each and every subject. In fact, the entire syllabus of UPSC is being designed from IAS point of view only, I would say, not from IPS or the other. Why IAS? Because when you become IAS, you're going to head so many departments. So, like maybe you will be posted as Defense Secretary, maybe as an Agriculture Secretary, maybe as a Foreign Secretary, yes or no? So in this case, you need to know what? About the foreign policy, about the science and technology basic, about, let's suppose you're being part of archaeological department. So you should know art and culture. So that's why you are being taught what? Art and culture. So the entire syllabus is being designed very, very practically and logically from one service point of view, that is what? Indian Administrative Services. Okay? So this kind of response was received by the candidate who appeared for the interview. So that's why I'm saying economics as a portion will help you in terms of knowing so many current things. Okay? Now, if you see the mains question, again, there's so many topics are being attached. Like in this case, see, women empowerment in India needs gender budgeting. What is women empowerment? Nari Shashakti-karan. सुना आपने? What is Shashakti-karan? वो तो इंग्लिश हो गई यार, वो तो मैं ही बता रहा हूँ. What is empowerment? Do you really feel empowered in India? Yes, ma'am. What kind of empowerment you actually seen? Yeah, you can use Facebook. You can write something on Facebook. Yes or no? Otherwise, in case of various countries, Facebook has been banned. You're not supposed to say anything against the government. योगी, जो हमारे योगी साहब आजकल चीफ मिनिस्टर बने हैं, लोग यूपी में क्या कह रहे हैं? मैंने बहुत सारे के पोस्ट पढ़े, वो लिखते हैं कि यूपी अब एक लोकतांत्रिक राज्य नहीं रहा. मैंने कहा भाई ऐसे कमेंट तो मत करो. मैंने कहा अगर लोकतांत्रिक राज्य नहीं होता ना, तो आप ये कमेंट नहीं लिख रहे होते इस टाइम फेसबुक पे. ये लोकतांत्रिक होने की वजह से, लोकतांत्रिक यू नो ना, या सो उसी वजह से मिला है आपको ये. So, if you see this topic, what are the requirements and status of gender budgeting in Indian context? So basically, what happened when we discussed this topic in class? It's a part of fiscal policy. What is gender budgeting? Gender budgeting is basically you need to provide certain specific component in the plans initiated by the government reserved for whom? Reserved for women. Like, if you know there is a one program called MG Narega. सुना होगा ना? उसको तो वीडियो भी एक YouTube पे देखा होगा आप लोगों ने. किसके बाद देखिए, इसे कहते हैं एम्पावरमेंट. ठीक है. सो बेसिकली एमजी नरेगा इज व्हाट? दैट यू आर बीइंग प्रोवाइडिंग 100 days or 150 days of employment. Okay, so under that you are being reserving 1/3 of the employment for whom? For women. So that is basically gender budgeting. Like in the panchayati raj institutions, you are having 1/3 reserved seats reserved for whom? For women. That is a gender budgeting. So basically in this question, you need to know about the basics, that what is actually gender budgeting, and then after that, requirements and status. Status, that if you're being knowing that in certain scheme, Government of India has included this thing. Then after simply mention this, and in the conclusion, what you're supposed to provide. That if you really think that gender budgeting helped the women in India to get empowered, then write a positive conclusion. If you think it is not being done, then provide certain critics, and then after that give certain suggestions. So that's why, you know, what the ma'am was saying, that every day you will get one question that is an assignment question. So whatever an assignment question you'll get in the class, you're supposed to write it daily and simply submit it here and get a feedback on that. What you're supposed to include, what you're not supposed to include, what actually you need to provide in your answer, that will be provided in the feedback thing. You're getting my point or not? So assignment question will help you in terms of writing practice, and that is very important. I'm telling you in terms of clearing the mains examination. Otherwise, clearing mains is very, very difficult thing. Imagine this question is having so many content. If I'll ask you to write an essay on this thing, you will simply write. But imagine you have to satisfy the examiner with just how many words? 200 words. So in this question, you are having three things. See, women empowerment in India needs gender budgeting. You have to answer this. Then after that, status, and then after requirement and status. Three things, imagine in just 200 words. स्कूल की बात चली गई जहां पे हम 8-10 शीट भर के आते थे, या कॉलेज की. मैं भी ड्यू से पढ़ा हूं, मुझे पता है बहुत शीट भरी है हमने, ठीक है. बट पॉइंट इज हियर इन यूपीएससी यू हैव टू बी to the point. Your answer has to be best, and your answer has to be a kind of a short and precise. Then you will be able to get a good marks. Getting my point or not? Then after that, what sources you are supposed to refer for economics thing? See, NCERT, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And that is all free. Where? On the NCERT website. So simply refer these chapters. You're not supposed to go through the entire books of 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. In 9th standard, the book name is this, Social Science Economics, chapter number 1, 2, and 3, and the final chapter in the name of Food Security. Then 10th standard, NCERT, Understanding Economic Development, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last chapter called Consumer Rights. 11th, Indian Economic Development. This book is really interesting, that you can read the entire book. And moreover, this book is also having a lot of pictures, colored pictures. So that is a very interesting book actually. You can refer the entire book. And then after the 12th NCERT, only the macroeconomics. You're not supposed to read anything about the micro. Micro is not a part of our syllabus. Only macroeconomics. And in this thing, chapter number 3, 5, and 6. Only these three chapters. You're not supposed to refer the entire book, just 3, 5, and 6. These chapters basically, if you're joining coaching, okay, then simply go through it before coming to the class. And still, if you're not referring these, then obviously these chapters will be even more clear in the classroom. So either you can skip it initially and refer it after the classroom discussion. Only this one, the 12th one. I'm not talking about these three. So 12th standard, you can skip. Why I'm saying this thing? Because you may not be able to understand, because it is having certain technical thing. So once we'll cover in the class about these things, so you can simply start referring these chapter one by one, because this is about the fiscal policy, banking and foreign exchange and inflation topic. These are the topic that has been covered in the 12th standard. Okay, so that is about the NCERT. Then after that, the books that you can refer for the mains purpose. So you're having these books in the market. Indian Economy by Datan Sundaram, Indian Economy by Mishra and Puri, Indian Economy Performance and Policy by Uma Kapila, Indian Economy by A.C. Dhingra. So you can take any one book. You're not supposed to take all the 4. Don't worry. Just one. So you go to the book shop, just try to get all these 4 books, see the chapters, see the volume, because all the 4 books are quite bulky, having 1000+ pages. Okay, so any book which you find interesting, having less pages, or you can say whatever criteria you basically follow. क्योंकि जब मैं follow करता था, मैं तो ये देखता था सबसे कम पेज किसके अंदर है, ठीक है, उसके हिसाब से मैं पिक करता था. तो इन चारों में से भी कोई एक, any one out of these 4, and then after that, once you finish this, then buy this one. Indian Economy Since Independence, that is a very good book. So you will find certain critics about the policy of Government of India. The book is being written by whom? Uma Kapila. She is a professor in Miranda House College in Delhi University, not campus. Okay. So these are the books that you can refer. So NCERT plus anyone. And moreover, do remember, you're not supposed to go through the entire book. What you're supposed to do? Simply open up the index of these books. Then after that, mark those chapters which are being referred in your mains syllabus. Okay. Because in UPSC, you have to read less. You're not supposed to go through various sources. Just make one thing as your base and just stick to it. Do not change yourself if somebody is telling you कि यार ये book ज़्यादा better है, इसे छोड़ दूसरी पकड़ ले. उस चीज़ में आप कभी prepare नहीं कर पाएंगे. Just stick on one thing. So that is basically what, when you're not joining coaching, these sources. If you've been joining coaching here, then what you're supposed to refer? Institute note that you will get, plus class note that I'll provide you. जो भी हम क्लास में डिस्कस करेंगे वो मैं डिक्टेट भी करता हूँ काफ़ी सारा उसमें से. And then after that, the handouts provided by me. So what I have done for my classes, all the books, that is these books, I have all these 5 books. So what I've done, I simply picked up the topics of a syllabus and I simply try to get only those things which I feel is good from an examination point of view. And उसके बाद मैंने क्या किया है, कट कॉपी पेस्ट, ठीक है, जो हम कॉलेज में भी करते थे. और उसके बाद आई सिंपली प्रिपेयर्ड माई नोट्स. सो सर्टेन इनपुट फ्रॉम दीज बुक्स, certain inputs from economic time, certain input from basically the budget document, certain input from the economic survey, and certain inputs from where? From the Government of India's website, like Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Then you're having departments of personnel policy. There's so many websites are there. So I simply took that particular thing and then incorporated in my own notes. So if you join the institute, then only this thing, that is more than enough, and I can assure you, you will be able to complete around 80 to 85% of your syllabus of economics from both the examination point of view. I cannot guarantee for 100% because it is UPSC. Okay, because UPSC is, sorry? Ramesh Singh, I cannot comment on that because I found this book is being including so many extra things that is not relevant from examination point of view. That's why I'm saying why I prepared my notes. Because my purpose, what I think about the coaching thing is that if you're being joining here or joining anywhere, so you'll get that material which is best. You're not supposed to refer a lot of things, just refer one thing. You getting my point or not? So minimum resources and maximum output. That is my actually, thinking when it comes to coaching. So that's why I prepared these notes. So it's not like I hired someone and he's preparing for these notes for me. I'm the one who's being responsible for the content of these notes. Okay, so only these three things, and that is more than enough from examination point of view. Okay, so that is all from my side for the economics portion. So if you want to ask any question about economics, you can simply ask. And how many classes basically I'll take for the economics thing from prelims and mains? So basically I take 75 hours to complete the portion. So if the class is 3 hours, so I'll take 25 classes. So the class is 2.5 hours, so class numbers will increase. So that depends upon the length of the class. Okay? Yes. Any question? Yes, sir.
How do we face the analytical view of the current economic affairs like the app payment app? They are coming in main exam. So how do we face them?
So you'll get to know, like what happened in our class. I simply throw ideas on you. कि ये ideas हैं, ये positive है, ये negative, and then after that I simply ask for the questions. So what happened when you simply put up your question? It turns into what? Discussion kind of thing. So you'll tell certain idea, I'll tell certain ideas, then somebody else will provide certain more ideas. So by way of that, you will be able to have a lot of things in your mind. That's why, the best thing, like in this institute, what kind of extra privilege you're having, that you're having all the classes on your students' platform. So if you're missing something, you will be able to get the things online. But I'm telling you, it is always good to sit in class and take the lecture. Because interaction face to face is having a different impact. जैसे मान लीजिए आपके दिमाग में भी कोई क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, आप सिंपली मेरे से पूछेंगे कि सर इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर बताइए. हो सकता है कुछ उससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन किसी और के माइंड में हो, तो आप तुरंत पूछ लेंगे. बट मैं भी देखता हूँ, जब मैं मूवी देखने, वो है कि एक मूवी है, जब आप घर पे बैठ के देख रहे हैं, तो मूवी में क्या होता है, आप उठ के जाते रहते हैं, थोड़ा कहीं कहीं ध्यान भटकता रहता है, कभी सेल फोन की घंटी बज रही है, कभी मम्मी बुला रही है खाना खा ले, कभी कोई कुछ बुला रहा है, तो वो चलता रहता है. बट जब आप क्लास में होते हैं, यू आर हैविंग 3 hours here and you are being completely concentrating where? On this side. Okay? So it is always good to attend classes if you're being part of offline class lectures. Any other question you want to ask? Yes, ma'am.
Important to read the economics time separately?
No, not at all. No. Because I am reading economic time, whatever relevant is there, I simply include in my lectures.
So if you're not attending the class?
Then you can refer. Instead of that, what you can simply do, download the app of economic time. Which smartphone you're having? Android?
So which is better, Mint or economic?
Oh, what? Yeah. You can simply say iPhone. Okay? So ऐप डाउनलोड कीजिए, और ऐप डाउनलोड करने के बाद इकोनॉमिक टाइम की आपकी सबसे अच्छी बात क्या है, उसमें सारे टॉपिक्स अलग अलग होते हैं. इंडस्ट्री, बैंकिंग, इकोनॉमी, स्टॉक मार्केट. सिर्फ इकोनॉमी वाले पे जाइए और जो 3-4 आर्टिकल डेली के होते हैं उनको देख लीजिए. अगर आपको लगे सिलेबस से रिलेटेड है तो पढ़िए, वरना छोड़ दीजिए. That is the best thing to read, or there is a best way to read economic times from civil service point of view. Because economics is the only interest of us. Otherwise, there is no need to read about the industry, stock market, then the this politics, anything. Just the economic one. Okay? सर वो मिलेगा इंस्टीट्यूट से आपको. सर हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म पे मिलेगा सब, जो ऑनलाइन रिसोर्सेज हैं वो सब प्रोवाइड करते हैं. हमारा इंस्टीट्यूट जो है ना, स्टूडेंट्स का बहुत ध्यान रखता है. हम सब कुछ प्रोवाइड करते हैं, इकोनॉमिक सर्वे हो, ईयर बुक हो, उनके सबकी शॉर्ट एंड क्रिस्प जो भी जरूरत होगी वही मिलेगा आपको उसमें, वो डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं आप.
And for stock exchange, you
नो नीड, नो नीड. दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड ओनली द इकोनॉमी पोर्शन. ठीक है, मैं भी IOC यूज करता हूँ बाई चांस, मैं बता सकता हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. या सर वो पूछा है इन्होंने, मेरे हिसाब से रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है क्योंकि बहुत एक्स्ट्रा टॉपिक्स हैं उसके अंदर. इन्फ्लेशन की 50 डेफिनेशन है उसके अंदर. सर 3 रिक्वायर्ड है बहुत, उससे ज़्यादा रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है. कौन सी? सर मुझे नहीं पता. सर देखिए इकोनॉमिक्स तो हर जगह अच्छा है, मुझे ये नहीं पता कंटेंट उसमें क्या है. देखिए इकोनॉमिक्स तो आप ऑनलाइन भी पढ़ेंगे ना, तो ऑनलाइन सबसे बेस्ट तरीका है, वुड से. क्यों? क्योंकि उसमें आपको 10 चीज़ें मिलेंगी, 10 वेबसाइट्स मिलेंगी, और उसमें आप सबसे सिंपल वाली वेबसाइट को वो अपना टारगेट बना लीजिए कि इसमें से मैं पढ़ूंगा, वो सबसे बेस्ट है. और वरना यूट्यूब पे जाएंगे, उस पर भी कई वीडियो मिल जाएंगे. ठीक है, तो पॉइंट क्या है, किसी एक स्पेसिफिक इंस्टीट्यूट की बात करेंगे तो मैंने कभी इंस्टीट्यूट्स की बुक्स देखी नहीं है, क्योंकि मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ कि मैं अपने नोट्स बनाता हूँ और मैं उसमें से, जैसे अगर मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल दूँ, प्रीलिम्स के सारे क्वेश्चन मेरे नोट्स में से कवर हो जाते हैं 100%. एक आधा क्वेश्चन जो होता है बचता है, मेंस में एक आधा क्वेश्चन बाहर से आता है, क्योंकि कई बार बहुत अनएक्सपेक्टेड पूछ लेते हैं वो लोग.
Many times we come across a lot of technical terms like Laffer curves and tax line. So in this context of,
I'll discuss. Don't worry.
I'm asking that if I cover the current affairs part and leave the technical part, will it be enough for prelim part?
Sir, technical part is important. Certain things are important. That's why I'm saying, as per my own knowledge and about the experience of UPSC, I'm not saying I'll cover everything. I'll try to cover those things which are being news. So suppose you're talking about the Laffer curve. So I'll cover Laffer curve if it is in the news for the last 1 or 2 years. Otherwise, I will simply skip.
So those terms which are not in use, we can left.
Yeah. If it is not in news, but how will get to know that whether this thing is in news or not?
Following newspaper.
कितने टाइम का न्यूज़पेपर?
1 year.
अगर मैं तो आपसे 2 साल बोला अभी. अब सर देखिए, ये जो मेंस वाला क्वेश्चन है ना, ये वाला, that was asked by the UPSC in 2014, and that question supposed to be asked by the UPSC in 2009 or 10, because FRBM Act was simply dismantled by the government of India in 9-10 only.
It is actually impossible to.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying कि I cannot cover 100%. I can cover 80 to 85%. And moreover, to get a call in mains for the interview, you're not supposed to score 80%. Nobody can score 80%, don't worry. You're supposed to score only 35 to 40%. So if you've been covering 85% properly, that is more than enough to get a call for the interview. Okay? Is it fine? So now you're having geography session, the last one. So sir will come and take your session for the geography thing. Okay? So in case if you have any question, this is my email ID. pratikjee2001 Okay? So like if you need this slide, simply mail me, I'll give it to you. Okay? Chali, yes. It's a Google. Not Google, Gmail actually. gmail.com. Okay? Chaliye, thank you very much and all the very best.
So, nice to see you people. I'll be talking to you with regarding geography to start with, and maybe we'll discuss also about ecology, environment, and some other sections which are there, minor sections here and there. But first of all, I think the session started at 2 o'clock or so. Okay. So, कितना देर हो गया? Almost, huh? And I understand that you might be slightly, feeling, यार कुछ ज़्यादा हो गया, huh? Right? So what I'll do is let's keep this very crisp, to the point, and let's make it an interactive thing. So I would expect you also to raise your hand wherever you feel like and ask me whatever you feel like in between if you want to, if you have any question. So let's not keep the questions for the end, broadly. One, right? So first of all, as I generally do, I welcome you all for the preparation of civil services, right? And would also like to, I hope most of you are preparing for 2018 only, right? 19 वाला कौन कौन है? 20 वाला कौन कौन है? 21 वाला कौन कौन है? सर 5-year प्लानिंग खत्म हो गया, क्यों पूछ रहे हो? Okay, so rest of you I assume are 2018 only, right? Good. So till now you have already had sessions on economy and polity and history, है ना? ये सब कुछ हो चुका है. So then it comes to geography, right? By the way, how many of you have read geography after class 10th? Unlike me. अच्छा, 10th के बाद भी पढ़ा है? Have you read it after class 10? So 11th and 12th, you people have done geography? Great, bravo. Right? Because most of us tend to get so much, afraid of geography by the time you pass your class 10th that you thank God कि class 10th, geography over, thank you God, no more of geography. Right? Only to realize much later, like me, that it will come back again in your life. Right? So, why I say this is because by education I'm an engineer. Sorry? No, I'm एक उसके बाद वाला. So it's an electrical. I'm an electrical engineer. Right? So, and I also thank God after my class 10 that I never have to study geography hereafter. Right? I was so happy that geography is done in my life. Right? Because I never used to understand geography. Right? Till class 10. I need the word. Right? And then I was actually, let me share this with you so that, your inhibitions about geography get slightly over. So once I thank God, God also gave me opportunities. Jao physics padho, chemistry padho, right? And I became whatever I became, and I worked. And then one, I don't know whether I should call it fine day or a bad day, but then I decided that I should appear for what you have decided, right? Like most of you. So I downloaded नहीं उस समय download नहीं था. So I actually got a copy of the syllabus, right? And in that, when I was seeing, I saw geography. So I was Return of the Nightmare, right? And then I started talking to some people around me, and then I came to know that many people are taking geography. I said, okay, why would they be taking? So then I asked why. So and I found many of the engineers were taking geography, right? In those days, right? So I started interacting with some of them, and they said, yeah, it's easy to understand. I said, do you really feel that? So they said, yes, easy to understand, provided you put right kind of efforts, right? And you can manage it well and all that, right? So I also started studying geography. And somehow, this time when I started, without my teachers, I could understand geography relatively better, right? And I realized that honestly, geography is not that difficult a subject. But at the same time, one more thing I realized, and which was a bigger realization, that actually anything that we are afraid of, right? And if you do not and if you are not interested in that, you will generally not get a sense of what it says, right? But anything that you develop an interest in, for example, biology was the second geography to me, right? And many other things, similar things, and history also, right? But I later realized that many of the things we do not tend to understand just because we do not have interest in them. Or probably our interest did not, we did not find those points of ignitions where interest is developed. So maybe the way it was taught, interest did not develop. So the first thing I would say is, for your civil services preparation, because the session happens to be about preparation for civil services, is that irrespective of whatever your thought process have been about this preparation, right? Or for history, or for geography, or for polity, or for economy, or for whatsoever, right? First of all, keep that aside, right? And tell yourself that I need to be a civil servant, and for that, I need to read this, right? One. And second, you need to understand why those areas have been added in your syllabus, right? UPSC has not added anything without any reason, and not even geography, right? So there's a reason why geography is added to your syllabus, and that's, once I will talk about this, probably this will give you a scope into all the other subjects that you might have talked about, about which or the topics which are there. So first of all, let's understand why at all is geography there in the syllabus. Once you understand this why of the geography, things will become easier for you to understand, right? So what is the why of geography? Why geography is there? What does geography basically tend to tell you? Right? Have you ever thought of this? If not, just think. Yahan pe you have to do this only, that you just have to think with me. If you are able to think through, you will see the reasons, right? So why is geography there? Yeah?
Apart from physical geography, human geography can be correlated.
It can be correlated. Apart from physical geography, human geography can be correlated. Okay. What else? Bolo yaar, kuch, anything that comes to your mind? What do you think? First of all, geography mein what all is there? Are you aware? No. Right? Let me not assume. So what all comes into your geography? Very simply, where will you come to know what is there in geography? Your class 11th and 12th NCRTs. Okay? And my story starts, or my set of things that I will tell you to cover are your class 11th and 12th NCRTs. Right? Do not start until unless you do not understand class 11th and 12th NCRT. Do not start with class 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Right? Many people will tell you you need to start with 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. You do not need to until unless you do not understand what your class 11th NCRT says. And in class 11th also, which NCRT do we refer to? Do we refer all the NCRTs? There are 3 NCRTs in class 11th and 12th. The oldest one, and the older one, and the newer one, right? So some people have that oldest one, Land and People series, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, hai na? Some of you might have purchased or might have heard about. Then there was an older one, and then there is the new one. Where do you get a sense of where the new one is there? Right? ncert.nic.in. Right? You go to this website, you open this, they will give you 2 options. Hindi, English. Whatever you want to click, you click. Then they will say ebooks. Right? Go into that ebook section. Click class 11th. Then they will say options of subject. You pick your geography thing. Right? Once you click class 11th geography, they will give you in Hindi and English, or both the books they will mention, Hindi and English. There are 2 books mentioned there. One is Fundamentals of Physical Geography. That is the first book. Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Right? You download this book. Right? This book starts with the solar system and the universe. That is the first chapter of the book. Right? And before that, there is one more chapter, the discipline of geography. If you want to read it, you read it. If you don't want to read it, that's still okay. Right? But then it starts with the second chapter, which is the solar system. So the first thing that geography talks about is solar system. Right? It starts with the universe. Universe and the solar system. After that, it comes to the earth. Right? And in earth, it will talk about the earth's formation and all, where it talks, the chapter is called as the interior of the earth. Right? And after that, the third chapter starts talking about the continents and the oceans. Right? So the first thing is universe. Then you have the earth's interior. And then you have continents, oceans. Right? This is the sequence. So it is gradually narrowing down, as you see, from the universe to the Earth's surface. And once it comes to the Earth's surface, there it starts talking about the formations on the Earth's surface. Right? So then the whole thing starts around formation of the Earth's surface, and then it talks about the various types of formations. Once that is done, then it talks about the atmosphere and the climate, and then it talks about oceans. So basically it is talking about continents, oceans, atmosphere, oceans. And through all this, it gives you a hint of the earth that you live on. Okay? But why do I need to understand the earth that I live on? It is something like knowing the house that you live in. If you don't have a sense of the house that you live in and the place where you work, right? If you don't know that area well, you will not be able to utilize that area well. right? And this is basically what geography does to you. So if you are able to develop interest as an administrator, what will you do? What is the purpose of this whole preparation? Let's say if I tell you geography is out of the syllabus, will you read geography? No, simple. So let's keep in mind first the focus. The focus is, or the purpose is, UPSC exam, right? So we need to clear UPSC exam, right? And through UPSC exam, what is the purpose? To become an administrator. So how will geography help you? Why have they not kept something like psychology in your syllabus? At least in GS, they could have, but they did not. Because that doesn't help you directly as much as geography, history, polity, economy help. Right? So what does geography help you to know? Geography sets the platform. Geography sets the world for you to use it. Right? But before you use it, you need to know it. Right? So geography is the base of, let's say if I say mountains, you find, how many of you have been to mountainous areas? Yeah. Acha, how many of you know there is something called as mountains? And there is something called as rivers? सुना है ऐसा कुछ? या सीधा यूपीएससी का प्रिपरेशन ही कर रहे हो जब से पैदा हुए हो? नहीं मतलब, you know, हाँ? So hopefully सुना तो होगा कि कुछ mountain type का चीज होता है. Have you ever thought of the importance of mountains in our life? What is the importance? If I ask you, let's spend 10 seconds on this. What is the importance? The most important thing that mountains do to us? Soil and soil formation and rains, rainfall. What else? Huh? Weather system, climate system. Yes, geography वाले. अच्छा आप लोग छोड़ दो अभी. हाँ, क्योंकि मैं आपको जबरदस्ती पॉइंट नहीं करना चाहता. If you want to answer, you answer. Else you decide. Yeah. Who else? Anything else? Anything else? Maintaining the? Oh बाबा. Hold on. इसीलिए आपको नहीं बोला था. ठीक है. एक और किसी ने आंसर दिया था. रिवर सिस्टम कुछ सुनाई पड़ा था मुझे? कौन बोला था? Yes. तो बोल देते यार, मैंने पूछा ना, है ना? River systems, right? So, do we realize that most or almost all the major rivers that we have originate from the? Now let's start talking about it, right? So mountains, most of the major rivers that you have originate from the mountains, right? And why do they originate from the mountains? Because mountains are mainly like water tanks, right? Are they water tanks? No, right? They are water columns, right? How do they store water? Have you ever thought? They store water in the form of glaciers and ice, right? And how does those glaciers and ice help us? Because from these mountains, many of the major rivers start. Yes, and the rivers bring with them what? Not only water, but what you said, right? They help in many cases in formation of soils, right? What do soils give you? Huh? No. Soil first gives you vegetation, right? Vegetation. Food तो हम vegetation से निकालते हैं, ठीक है? So they give you vegetation and forest cover around it, right? And soil also gives you the region where you can grow vegetation. And when you grow vegetation on your own, what do we call it as? Huh? You figure out some vegetation, specific types, that I will grow this, I will grow that, I will grow rice, I will grow wheat, I will grow sugarcane. Are we aware of what these things are in the nature? No. What are these plants? Right? For example, rice, wheat, what are they? These are all types of grasses. Do we know this? These are types of grasses, right? Sugarcane also, if you see, right? So gradually you will try to understand, or you will understand that so where do you grow them? You need some soil. And once you grow them in large quantity, you produce ample food. And once you have ample food, what will that food help you to develop? It will help you to get a bigger community living together, right? And once you will be able to support a bigger community to live together, that will lead to what? Development of what? Social development. Your societies evolve like that. Right? People come together, they grow together, and they live together. Once you start living together, what do you do next? Tell me, क्या करोगे? Start thinking, that's how you have to think. So once you start living together, what do you do next? You need some kind of organization in the society, and that is the beginning of polity, right? And once you have many things to exchange amongst yourself, it starts the economy. And why economy? Right? Abhi jaisa aapka economy ka session tha, right? What is economy? Very simply said, economy is nothing but allocation or efficient allocation of different resources, right? Efficient allocation of resources. You exchange resources amongst yourself. But then what is resource? What is resource? What is resource? Anything that is useful for man. We are very self-centered. Let's talk around ourselves. Very good. That's okay, But that's okay, So anything that is useful to man is a resource. But then how do I come to know that this is useful to me? For example, how is uranium useful to me? How do I know? What helps me in making uranium useful to me? Technology, right? Technology is the tool which helps us understand the usefulness of various things available around me. And once I realize that this is important, then it becomes a resource. Do we get it? Now, once you will read history, you will realize that the oldest age of human settlement, what do we call it as? Stone Age. Have you heard? The stone was the first resource that we had. How did stone become a resource? We understood how to use stones and made tools out of them. Right? After Stone Age, you had the first metal age. Which was the first metal age? Iron Age? No. Bronze, copper. Right? Copper, we started using copper, and copper became a resource. But copper has been there on the earth since the beginning. Why did it not become resource all the while? We did not know the use. Once we understood the use, it became a resource. Right? But where do you find copper? That geography tells you. Right? That where can you possibly look for copper? Can you go down, lift से नीचे जाके ज़मीन खोद लो? यहीं से शुरू करो खोदना. Will you get copper? Even if you reach the center of the earth, you will not find copper here. Right? Because you do not find copper everywhere. Similarly, you do not find iron everywhere. You do not find oil everywhere. Right? Where do you find all that? What tells you about that? Where will you find what which could be useful? Who tells you? Geography. Geography tells you where you will find what. Right? So first, it tells you the distribution of things which can possibly become a resource for you. Right? Once you know this is where we find it and you understand the usefulness of that, that becomes a resource for you. Once you are able to utilize that, for example, whole of Indus Valley civilization, that was based around Indus Valley. I'm talking of Indus Valley. At that time, iron was not known. Right? It was mostly based around use of copper. वो मूवी देखा था मोहनजोदारो अभी आया था मूवी सर सॉरी हम मूवी नहीं देखते हैं हम लोग क्लास 1 से हमने एम रखा है यूपीएससी क्लियर करना है हाँ यूपीएससी क्लियर होने के बाद हम लाइफ में कुछ भी देखेंगे ठीक है हम आज सीधा घर से निकल के यहाँ आए हैं यहाँ से सीधा रूम पे जाने वाले हैं हाँ nowhere in between anything else हाँ तो मूवी हमारे से बात मत करो बट स्टिल आई वुड सजेस्ट प्लीज इन लाइफ एट टाइम्स सी मूवीज Right? Movies give you some good perspective and they tell you lot many things around you. For example, if you see that movie, you will see that there is this villain character in that movie. Right? And what is he doing? He is exchanging gold for weapon grade metal. देखा है? वो क्या इकट्ठा कर रहा है? Weapons made up of? देखा है? Right? Because at that time those weapon material was not available locally. So he was exchanging gold for that. Okay? So resource for him was that weapon. That is his perception कि मुझे कहाँ attack करना है उसके लिए he was collecting. But basically what I'm saying here is that becomes a resource. Then later on if you see Iron Age, that become when we understood what is iron and we started using it, it became a resource. After that, What was the next resource? Can you think of? Iron के बाद और सोचो. हाँ? Oil. Do you know how oil became a resource for us? Huh? Before petroleum, for example, petroleum was not a resource for us, a major resource for us earlier, right? People used to burn oil lamp with petroleum. That was the only use. But once we came up with the use of the what you call as diesel engine was the innovation which made petroleum a resource for us. Okay? Nuclear reactors, they made uranium a resource for us. Right? Solar panels, they made sunlight a resource for us. Till that technology was not there, हम कुछ ज़्यादा sunlight से करते नहीं थे. Though sunlight was doing lot many things for us, right? So photosynthesis and all, nature has made lot many things which go on to utilize it and help us, right? But that's how things become resource, right? So for understanding what is resource where, you need to understand geography. And nature, thankfully, has not divided the resources uniformly everywhere. If nature had divided uniformly, every resource was available everywhere, there won't be any economy. Because then you don't need to exchange. Do you get it? Right? So the base of economic interaction is non-uniform distribution of various resources. Right? And that's why we go on to buy oil from wherever, or uranium from wherever, or we go on to supply iron to Japan, right? Or sign an agreement on rare earth metals with Japan. Okay? Why? Because that's how the resources are distributed. So as to know this, you need to know geography. So once you understand this importance of geography, that to know my resources around me, I need to understand geography. बस इतना सा, ये एक चीज दिमाग में क्लिक किया, next time you will read geography like anything, right? Because this is telling me my resources. And if I want to develop my country, if my goal is to make my country amongst the most developed countries, I need to understand which resources where. What do I need to manage, right? Then if you come to the rivers, rivers were the places where, if you see in your map, all the cities that you have are either located along rivers or they are located on the coast. Yes or no? Why is it so? Have you ever thought why major cities are always close to a river? Because for people you need water, right? So it has to be close, huh?
Fertile soil is also there.
Yes, fertile. Yeah, so there are many things. Actually, all the civilization, if you see in the world, right, whether it was Mesopotamian or Sumerian or Indus Valley or the Gangetic or the Huangho, right, any civilization has evolved around rivers. Right? Why? Because river is a major source which helps you get the water, it helps you or gives you the soil, and from the soil you are able to produce enough food, right, which will help you. So to understand the importance, once you understand the importance of river, that's where you will understand why the government is so much focused around Namami Gange, or why recently we have given the status of living person to rivers, right? Or why New Zealand has recently given living person status to rivers. Do you understand? Rivers are really important. But till you see river as a nala flowing next to Delhi, like Yamuna, है ना, यमुना आता है ना बीच में, तो अगर वो आपके लिए नाला है तो वो नाला ही रहेगा, बट वो बेसिकली नाला आपके दिमाग में बह रहा है. Do you get? You need to understand the importance of these things. So geography gives you importance of the world which is around you. Until you understand that, you will never be able to rightly connect with your surrounding. I hope you get this. So this is the importance of the subject, and that's why geography is there in your syllabus, right? Because geography tells you what your country and your world is like, right? One. So once you understand that, but then I also said, are we doing all this for geography? No. Right? How many of you have come here honestly for geography? Tell me. देखो लाइफ में ना पर्पस से डेविएट नहीं करना चाहिए, ठीक है? Tell yourself, why have you come? Sir, UPSC. If UPSC takes away geography, I'm least interested about geography. Let me get selected. After that, I will talk about geography. Isn't it? ठीक है? And once you get selected, let me assure you, you will never talk about geography. ठीक है? Once you, even if you pick up geography as an option, I have so many students, They have picked up geography, they got selected, then they never come back to geography. You don't need to, right? But yes, you get a sense of things in the process, right? So once you have done the why of geography, next is where from you need to read geography for this exam. Keep in mind, you are not here to understand geography, right? In the process, you will understand a lot of geography, but you are not here to understand only geography. Your purpose is the exam, right? And for the exam, where should I come to know about this exam? Or for what, in geography, what will they ask me? Where will I come to know from? कहाँ से पूछेंगे? हाँ? The most referred source is seniors. Right? To me, that is also the most misdirected kind of source. Right? The best source is you go to upsc.gov.in, download the syllabus, and then you check what the syllabus says. But then the syllabus of UPSC also does not say much, especially for PT. It only talks in one line. Right? Geography, physical and human geography of India and the world. Right? PT का syllabus एक line में. What does that tell you? कुछ भी पता नहीं चला. उतना तो आपको पहले से you were knowing, right? So then what is the next thing? अब कहाँ जाएंगे? Previous year questions. Very right, my friend. So you become really excited and you want to see previous year question. You buy that 15-year question paper and you start seeing from 1978. Right? The questions which actually your parents should have seen. ठीक है? By the time you reach 1990, you are fully exhausted and you take a tea break and you go for the tea wala shop and tell to your friend, बहुत मुश्किल है. ठीक है? But the best part is, you have still not seen the question that they will ask you. आपके लिए मुश्किल वो है जो आपके पेरेंट्स के लिए मुश्किल होना चाहिए था. ठीक है? So where do you start from? Where should you start from? Start from 2016 questions. C16, C15, C14, C13, C12. Right? And if you are still left with fire in your belly, see another 3 years. But that's it. ठीक है? 9-10 के पहले का आपको बहुत देखने का, it won't help. Right? So see only the last 6-7 years. You will get ample number of questions. In geography, I assure you, you will get more than 200 questions, 300 questions in this period only. Right? And if you add ecology, environment and all, you get more than 400, 500 questions in those. That is good number of questions. Right? So just see those. Last 3 years, UPSC has also given answers. But as of now, you neither know the questions nor know the answers. So they won't help you too much. But they will only give you a sense of what you have to read. 1. So see the syllabus, see the questions, and then jump into the book. Which books to read from? Right? I will discuss. Right? So where do you read from? I have already said there are basically for geography, GS, let me write GS geography, right? For PT and mains, the sources are, I hope you have a handout with you, and in that you have the section which says how to approach GS geography. Can you please open that? Please open so that I don't have to write and even you don't have to copy, right? Because it's already printed. I have only prepared that document 100% word to word, so I know every word which is there, right? Now, for the ones who are really, really excited, I have mentioned books like class 9, 10th. Okay, but you don't have to read that, right? Because I have to write, because then they say, sir को पता नहीं होगा कि 9, 10th में भी books आता है, ठीक है? But sir को पता है, right? And इसीलिए लिख दिया है. That if you are really excited, पढ़ लो. But what you need to start with is your class 11th NCERT, the first one, Fundamentals of Physical Geography, right? And you start with chapter number 1 and you try to cover that sequence, right? So chapter number 1, as I said, is Geography as a discipline. Second, as I said, mentioned there, क्या है? Universe, right? And solar system, and then it goes on. And it covers up to oceans, right? Ocean तक वो cover कर लेगा. Right? Climate, ocean, all this. After that, you come to the second chapter, which is India Physical Environment. Second book, right? India Physical Environment. That is also class 11th book, right? That starts with, वो कहाँ से start होता है? India, the location. That is the first chapter. After that, it gets into the physiography of India. right? After that, the third chapter is about drainage of India. So in that you will read about rivers. Okay? And once you are done with drainage, after that you have the next chapter on, no, before that you have soils. ठीक है? So आपका एक soils के around chapter आएगा. ठीक है? और उसके बाद आपका climate आएगा, right? So you will read about the climate, etc. in India, right? And then I think last chapter, chapter number 7 is about disaster. Right, environmental hazards and disaster. ऐसा करके एक chapter है last में. That chapter helps you in paper 3 disaster management. That give you some foundation in your that thing. Do we get this? Then the third book that you refer is there. Class 12th, you have the book by the name of Fundamentals of Human Geography. That book is mainly for mains. Right? That book covers mainly things which are important from mains perspective. One, and second, that book also becomes slightly okay if you want to know about world map. Right? So that book helps you with the world map things. Right? But mainly your mains topics. The GS, geography, mains topics, which are chapters such as distribution of primary, secondary, tertiary resources, factors affecting location of industries, all those things. Okay? Which is there in your geography syllabus also. Then comes the next book, which is important, which is India, People and Economy. The fourth book. This book you need to read without the data. The data in that book is old. Okay? So you don't have to read the data from that book. Now I'll tell you where you read from the data from, but please miss the data from there. Broadly, except for some census data which you can pick, which they have put from 2011 census, right? Now, what is the source of data in that case for India? The source for data is two sources. One is India Yearbook, published by Publication Division, Government of India. Right? Please, I'm not referring to India Yearbook of Manorma or Civil or ABZ. Right? This is the India Yearbook by government, which is available on Amazon if you want to buy a e-copy, or available outside. Right? हमारा प्रधानमंत्री जी उसके ऊपर खड़े हैं इस बार, फोटो है उनका. ठीक है? So from that you have to read the chapters. Now, which are the chapters which become important there? If you want, you can write that also. The first is your first chapter. Right, on land, about your land and people, which gives you the data about census. Right, so the census data comes from there. In the end of that first chapter, you get the whole census data in tabular form. Right, so it gives you the population, it gives you the sex ratio, it gives you tribal population percentage, all that. You don't have to remember all the tables. Keep that in mind. कहाँ से पता चलेगा how much to read? UPSC questions. Last 6-year question will give you a hint of to what level I need to remember the data. Is that okay? After the first chapter, the next chapter that becomes important is chapters on agriculture, industry, transportation. On all of them you have chapters in that India Yearbook. Right? So you need to pick up these chapters. Agriculture, industry, transportation, energy. Right? These are the major chapters. Do not read the whole India Yearbook. It is almost this thick a book. You will require 2 to 3 years to complete it, right? If you want to memorize, and then you would realize it was completely useless. Okay? Because next year itself they come up with the next year book, right? So it's not of much use until unless you know what to pick from that book, right? So you only have to pick some data from these chapters which is of relevance. I hope you get. Right? After that, you come to the next source, which is economic survey. Right? Economic survey is the next source. Where do you get it on? You get it on indiabudget.nic.in. That is the website. Right? On that website, you have the economic survey also available in a downloadable format. I think sir ने अभी आपको पहले भी बताया, मेरे से पहला. ठीक है? So there you get it. In that, thankfully, this year they have not come up with much content on agriculture and industries. The agriculture part in economic survey this year starts from page number 155. Right? So if you go to the economic survey, page number 155, there they have a section on agriculture, and after that they have a section on industries. Right? So from there you can pick some of the data. More data was available in last year's economic survey. right? There they had 2 chapters on agriculture. So from that, if you want, you can pick, but I would say by the time you will give your exam, that data becomes old. So by next year, they will come up with new economic survey, and hopefully in that they will have more data on agriculture, because they have not given much on agriculture as well as on industry this year, right? So next year's economic survey becomes important for you, right? 2018, it will come before time. So that is the other source. I hope you get this. So kya source hua? NCRTs, 3 books, not the 4th, at least for prelims, and for mains you read the 4th book also, right? Then the other sources, you need an atlas through this process, right? कौन सा atlas ले सकते हो? You can buy an Oxford atlas. ठीक है? So buy an Oxford atlas, Oxford student atlas, school atlas, जो भी लेना है ले लो. If not Oxford, if you don't find Oxford good, then you can buy Orient Longman. If you don't find that good, you can find n number of more options are there. ठीक है? But I think Oxford is good enough. So NCERTs, then Oxford Atlas or any other atlas, which is a student atlas or school atlas. Any of these 2 you can buy, right? Then there is one more book which is of importance, which is by the name of G.C. Very good. G.C. Leong. G.C. Leong has written 2 books, right? Or at least 2 books of his are available in the market here. One is Certificate Physical and Human Geography, and the other is Economic Geography, right? You don't have to buy that thick Economic Geography book. You have to buy the Certificate Physical and Human Geography. Anyone in the class right now has it? एक से ऊपर उठा सकते हो? ऊपर उठा के दिखा सकते हो? यहीं पे है? In the class I'm saying no. हाँ, so it's a yellow color पतला सा book है, right? It has 20. हाँ, ये दिखा दो. पीछे घुमा के दिखा दीजिए. Very good यार. Thank you. Thank him. There are 25 chapters in this book, right? Now, out of those 25 chapters, which are important for you, the first chapter on solar system you don't have to read. The data is so old that they still have 9 planets. Okay? And because you are not laughing, I hope most of you don't know that right now we have 8 planets. Okay? So their data being so old, they have not updated on that. So please don't read that first part. Read from the second part where they start India. Sorry, the world. So they talk about longitude and latitude, which is not given in a great detail in your NCERT. So that part of the book is good, where they talk about longitude, latitude, time zones. That part is good. International dateline, that section is not given in your NCERT, and UPSC still asks questions from that section. Okay? So this is chapter number 1, second part, which starts from longitude, latitude of G.C. Leong, right? After that, the second chapter is about rock types, right? So वो सब पढ़ सकते हो. You can read up to chapter number 13, right? 13 नहीं 14, right? Chapter number 13 and 14 are on weather and climate. So till there you have to read. They do ask you questions from this book also, and that's a very well written book, right? And after that, the next part, which starts from chapter number 15 to 25 of G.C. Leong, the good thing about this part is this tells you a lot about your world geography, for which generally people refer the class 6, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th NCERTs, right? So you can refer to this part, which basically is divided into climatic regions, right? These chapters are around climatic regions, but what you have to read from this, let me tell you. First is climate of the regions. Second is vegetation. The vegetation will help you understand your ecology and environment part also, right? Many of the biomes and things you will understand from there. And after this, you read the economic activities. The economic activities part will help you understand 2-3 things. One, the various resources in the world, the industries, right? And in some cases, it also covers the transport, right? Once you read this, you will have to look into atlas. And if you look into Atlas, it also ensures that your map-based questions are taken care of. Right? And UPSC, if you see last 5-year question, you would realize, or 6-year question, UPSC every year asks you world geography map-based questions. Right? So those questions can be taken care of from this part. One. Secondly, it also makes you aware of the resources in the world. Thirdly, it will also help you understand many of the later things which you will read in economy and IR. Right? And fourthly, this is a section which is there in your paper 1 mains part. Right? For which I said do not start with your fundamentals of human geography. So that part is very well covered here. Right? All that is there. And if you still find slight more energy, in some chapters you find tribals also given. They have asked last year question on tribals from PT, and every 2-3 years they ask something about them. Right? So that section, just the tribes. Right? You don't have to mug those chapters up. You just have to do this much of your basics. Do we get this? Right? So I've given you all the sources and I've told you how to get into it. Right? And simultaneously look into the mains questions also, because you're not only preparing for PT hopefully. ऐसा कौन-कौन है जो यहाँ पे ये सोच के आया कि मैं बस PT निकालने आया हूँ? Hopefully no one, because as they say, if you clear PT, you gain nothing. If you fail in PT, you lose everything. ठीक है? So, just by clearing PT, the only thing that you will get is, you will be able to tell your friends, PT तो निकल गया यार. ठीक है? But that doesn't take you anywhere. आप 5-6 बार भी PT निकाल लो तो आपको UPSC कुछ भी नहीं देता. ठीक है? मार्कशीट के सिवाय. राइट? कि मेंस का जब लिखोगे, और वो भी अगर मेंस लिखा तो मार्कशीट आएगा, वरना मार्कशीट भी नहीं आएगा. ठीक है? So you have to, so this is your basic thing about your geography. I have given you the topics, I have given you how to prepare, I have talked about why, I have talked about where, and I have also talked about how you prepare for this. Right? So this is the sequence of how, what, where, and how. These were the things that I was focused about. Right? So I've already discussed about that. If you have any question, you can ask me now, because as I understand, my time is up. Yeah, good enough. Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Good that you asked. कुछ बुक्स का और नाम लिखो. खुल्लर, सविंदर सिंह, माजिद हुसैन, ये सब नहीं पढ़नी. ठीक है? हाँ? ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी? ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी कौन सा पार्ट बोलो? फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी मैंने बोल दिया, वो दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर योर मेंस 1. ये सब जो लिखा है यहाँ पे, ये सब ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी है. वर्ल्ड ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, इफ दैट इज योर क्वेश्चन. ठीक है? तो वर्ल्ड ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, इफ यू स्टार्ट विद दिस एंड इफ यू आर डन विद योर NCERT class 12 fundamentals of human geography, once you are done with this, then ask me. Right? Why I'm saying is because if I tell you right now, it won't make much sense. Right? Because then you will be left with few resources such as shale gas, such as nuclear energy. Those are not given in these books. Right? Coal bed methane, rare earth metals. For that you have to pick selective material. You don't have to refer to any book. No book is giving that well. Right? So you have to refer to current sources and pick material. Current sources give that. That's why I'm not telling you any more book. If you are done with this, good enough. The last thing I would share before you go is 2 examples I will share so that you do not lose the track and the energy with which you have come into this. We take it as great responsibility on ourselves to guide you in the right direction, right? And that's why I'm sharing this. I have been involved in this process, the UPSC thing, for when I started 2004 and into teaching since 2009, and I've been involved in lot many interview programs and all the programs which start with PT and go up to interview, right? So recently, the people who are appearing for interview, I'll just share 2 examples with you, which will help you understand that it's not that difficult. And second, how you should go about it. These are 2 girls, one in Tamil Nadu, whom I met on the holy day, because I was on that day I was in Tamil Nadu. And one more girl who was student, right, in touch with me for almost a year, specifically since November 2015, right? So both these students, first the second girl, right? She's a doctor by education, and she started preparing in November 2015 for 2016, right? All the sources that she referred were NCRTs, right? And very basic NCRTs. And she did it n number of times. This is what she shared with me when she came for the interview preparation just a few days back. And she said, sir, I did not know anything, right? And being a doctor, I was not aware of anything, no history, no geography, no background, right? So once I decided that I want to give this exam, I just got a list of what I should prepare, and because I was not having too much time, I just stuck to that list, right? Now, what all she did was just the basic NCRTs, but a few number of times, right? So she said, sir, I have read these books, multiple times, one, right? And the sources are the same that we have discussed. They do not change, right? The second was one source for current affairs. Okay? And in that case, she being our student, she is stuck to our current affairs material. But I would say you pick one which you feel is okay. First of all, you have to give confidence to yourself that whatever I'm referring is good, right? So you figure out which current affairs you want to read, but just stick to one to begin with, right? Your basic NCRTs and your basic single current affairs source, if you read it a few number of times, right? She cleared her PT, she wrote her mains, and she is giving her interview. ठीक है? कितना टाइम हुआ है? आप खुद सोचो how much time did she give to this process, right? And similarly, another girl from Tamil Nadu, she is an engineer, electronics engineer, whom I met, as I told you, on the Holi day, because in Tamil Nadu they do not celebrate Holi. So that day was working. I was in Chennai on that day, and I also went because there was a good number of students with whom we had to interact. So there I came across this girl. She, I think, has for the first time come to Chennai, if I'm rightly recalling, right? She has never been to Delhi, right? Chennai maybe, I think, or maybe she has come once or twice more. She also stuck to a very limited number of sources, 23 or 4 years of age, right? Graduation usse 1 saal pehle she has completed. Very fresh, one single source, same NCRTs, and basic sources plus one current affairs material. And she said, sir, just before the PT, I referred, I think, to some more current affairs just to cross-check. And you don't find too much new. Because if you have done one source n number of times, you are decently done, right? And she is also appearing for the interview, right? Both of them first attempters, right? And the time they have put is not more than 8-9 months. It doesn't take more than that. Where do you go wrong? You go wrong when you go in the middle of a mess of content and you get lost in the process. Okay? So please stick to a limited number of sources and just read them. I'm not saying you come to this institute, that institute, that's not my purpose. But my purpose is that you stick to a common source or a single source which will help you and sail you through. Right? So that's it. This is all I wanted to share. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Newspaper also. Current affair gives you a decent amount of thing. Don't spend more than 1 hour maximum on newspaper in the beginning, because right now you do not know what to pick. And by the time you will know, you yourself will understand that I don't need to give more than 1 hour. Okay? Because the things are already there in most of the current affair sources. So if you are able to give that useful 1 hour, good enough, right? So any more questions? How can we make map? Understand the map. The source is, as I said, if you read this and you keep your map atlas with you when you are reading your NCRTs or anything, when you are reading, you just open it. Open the map and see the place. If you open the map and see the place, you will see many things around it. You will see the cities, you will see the oceans. And yes, and over the months, 4 महीने के बाद वो map आपके दिमाग में आ जाएगा. That's it. That is the best way. And those are the locations that they will ask you. Because they will not ask you from sky. They do not open an atlas and ask you a question. They ask you questions which are places which are somewhat in news or which are relevant from geography's perspective. So those things you would have seen. Do not skip this process because then you will not understand map. So map you have to read along with your geography thing, right? Yeah.
How to make the notes out of geography NCERT?
How to make notes out of geography NCERT? The best way to make notes is when you read a chapter, in the beginning of the chapter or the end of the chapter, you have some space, right? You just try to write whatever you want to write in that place. Okay? By the time you will end the chapter, whole of the chapter for you will be concise in that part. Next time when you read the chapter, if you find something new, you add. From any other source, if you find something new, you add. So one thing is you are restricting yourself in area, and hence you will not write rubbish things, right? And second, it will help you in revising also. So yeah.
Do we need to learn the statistical data given in the NCERT?
No, as I said, please do not memorize your India, people and economy data. That is obsolete. Physical geography does not give you data.
So fundamentals of human geography.
Human geography gives, but there you have to just remember some broad things. That this is, for example, if they talk of some mineral, so you have to remember that this country produces this major mineral. You don't have to mug up how many million tons, because that data is also obsolete. And they never ask you those questions. And you don't even have to write. You just have to write that this country, for example, if you're writing about Japan, so you have to write Japan does not have any major mineral resources except for in the Kyushu where it has some coal. That's it. Itna likh diya, that is good enough. Do you get? So that's how you need to pick up. Right? Anything else? Yeah. GS paper 4 is ethics. About that I won't be able to talk right now because first of all, I don't find, all I can tell you about GS paper 4 is, I don't have too much time as I said, but still I would say that if you refer to some basic source, one basic source which you pick from any of the websites that you have, and there are many number of websites, you just refer to that basic set of notes, right? And you try to create situations out, because they ask you two kind of questions. One, the basic questions, and second, the case studies. So if you are able to sort them out, that's good enough, right? We can talk about it maybe if you want in detail later. What else? Anything else? Acha, first of all, let me say this, that from my side, the session is over. I'm just attending to the questions which are there. Yeah, I have nothing else to tell you. Okay, environment and ecology, good part. For environment and ecology, you can refer to, there is one book. See, most of the people, what they refer is the biology class 12th. There is, in the end, you have these 4 chapters. Yes. So those chapters. And if you want, you can also refer to Shankar IAS material. Many people refer that. That is decently okay. And thankfully, the material that Vision IAS has come in the last year, we had 2 material. The older one I would not recommend. The newer one is a very well developed material. So if you get hold of that also, you can refer to that. That's decently well made. PD Sharma is a thick book. And so in that case, you can refer. If you have read, many of you might have read Iraq, Barocha, even that is okay. The engineering students. Thank you.